Brands Hatch is back in focus for the British sim racers, albeit in slightly different circumstances. We last saw the short Indy course here at Brands Hatch, and today we're set for a championship stage-setting trip around the full Grand Prix course, with plenty of unknowns left to be uncovered. Hello and welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Brands Hatch circuit. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with JP Costa alongside, and JP, welcome back to Brands Hatch.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm very happy to be back. I missed on Thursday. I really did miss these guys racing. And obviously, Andrew, you mentioned we're back at Brands Hatch, the longer layout. This was a fun starter of the season on the first few rounds. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be a great 4 rounds. Well, the second last round of the season as well. So a lot to be uncovered, as you mentioned. And it's just going to be so much fun to watch.
We'll take a look now at the virtual Brands Hatch in sim as it is, with cars on track, and I think we have reason to be excited for this one. We have reason certainly to look at this race as one of the races. Obviously each of the 9 rounds will go a long ways in determining each championship, or determining each champion, if I can ever get the words out. But I think Brands Hatch today is really, as I said, a championship stage setting match, if you will. There's a lot that's going to be determined today, a lot that's going to shape the way next week goes at Bathurst, and obviously there are still drops. I learned those are full drop weeks, not just drop races, full drop weeks, 2 of them apiece for each driver, but this is still a very important round and is going to go a long ways towards determining each champion. Let's take a look at the track map. I think everybody watching should be pretty darn familiar with it. I know we are here at Pit Stop TV. It's, you know, we've had it several times before. This is, I want to say 4 or 5 now on the channel. It's classic Brands Hatch. It is just that course that I think everybody can appreciate, if not love. Obviously, Paddock Hill Bend gets the lap started. Fantastic corners like Druids. I think Surtees is really fun. I enjoy Westfield, and honestly, Dingledell is actually one of the more fun corners on this racetrack. And of course, Clearways and the Clark Curve is very fun as well. There's just a lot of really good flow here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, exactly. It's a relatively simple race course when you analyze from the top down like this, but obviously when you're driving it at full pace, it's a really easy track to make a mistake. You don't have any runoff areas, just either grass or gravel. But when you get it right, especially as you mentioned, Dingledell corner, it's just one of the trickiest corners there is, and when you get it right, it's absolutely a blast, and it's so much fun to do it.
Yeah, the way you have Dingledell into Dingledell corners, that little kink that kind of gets you started for turn 7, it opens up the radius of that corner so much. It's just so satisfying to hit just right. And I think we'll see these guys do exactly that. Probably 2 and 3 wide today. I would be willing to bet. I think we're going to see some interesting racing this afternoon and this evening. It should be a lot of fun. Let's take a look at our standings coming into today. 7 rounds of 9 sorted so far, and we're just pulling these straight from the same standings that each driver has access to, right? So I think drop weeks are yet to be figured in. Obviously, they'll be figured in for the championship, and the series will get that figured out. This is what we know, though. Jason Cooper is officially at the top of the standings. Andy McEwen, with his 1 win, at least stopped a lot of the bleeding. He was only 7 points back, but does lose that lead, and I'm sure is going to lose more once the drops are enabled. Tom Griffith's a really good season so far. Casper DeCourt and Adam Delmont as well. 3 wins for Adam Delmont. That's pretty big.
Yeah, pretty big. Only 9 points behind Casper DeCourt, who has 2 wins. So that's a battle still yet to be determined. Obviously, we need to take an account afterwards the drop week, but still very much, in contention. Liam Silkstone leading the Pro-Am class, well clear, you can say, of Douglas Stewart, 92 points ahead of him, 98 points. 98, 92. Well, either way, he's very clear. Paul Donkin in 3rd place on the Pro-Am class, and Adam Mitchison still keeping himself in the overall top 20. That's a great sight to see.
Yeah, the pros are still locking down that top 10, but we're starting to see Liam Silkstone get close to that top 10, getting very close, at least to 11th, and, the way today could go, he absolutely could work himself into the top 10 before the day is over, and certainly before the season is over next week at Bathurst. And speaking of Bathurst, I know a lot of drivers just had an experience, if you will, myself included, at Bathurst this past weekend with the 12 hours of Bathurst on the iRacing.com service. It's going to be something. Mount Panorama Circuit, more commonly known as Bathurst, it's tricky. I don't wish anybody to have to do that, just because it's so difficult to get around, but that's what makes it so fun. That's why Bathurst is so, I think, loved and enjoyed by obviously a lot of Aussies, but also worldwide, especially on this iRacing.com service. It's a great, fantastic rendition, laser scan of the track. It looks great, it drives great, it's just really, really difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I couldn't join you, or anyone, in fact, for the 12 hours of Bathurst. I really do miss racing on that race course. And as you mentioned, it's loved by absolutely everyone worldwide. I'm from Brazil, and I absolutely love the challenge that the circuit brings. And it's going to be a fitting finale for this season. I'm pretty sure the drivers are looking forward to that. But I dare say, Andrew, they're going to miss some of the British soil.
And a shout out to Andy McEwen and Roger Morton, who I shared a car with this past weekend for the Result Clothing Yellow team. That was a lot of fun. And a big shout out to everybody at Result Clothing, Sir Alan Toon, and everybody else who allowed me to take part. That was a lot of fun this past weekend. It didn't go the greatest, admittedly. I played my part in that. I binned it in, I believe it was... Oh, man, I forget which corner. I can see it in front of me because I about hit the wall right where the sign is. I think Sulman corner or Sulman. I think that's what's ingrained into my brain. I just know there was a concrete wall and I hit 3 of them. Yeah, it was not great. Regardless, we've got some racing today at Bathurst, and qualifying is already getting down to wrap up. Here's a look at your qualifying standings on the left. Let's get that. There we go. We got the header up there. Jason Cooper, fastest in this session so far. That's no surprise. He is just insane. He's an alien in every sense of the word.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not a familiar sight at all. We just kind of expect to see the number 1 on top of the board, and well, it's no different right now. We can kind of expect each and every single day, Andrew, the battle for second place, and the one who is in second right now is James Sharp. Well, he's doing great, 0.2 of a second on a circuit this big. I dare say that's not a big gap, and it could definitely be up for challenge throughout the race course. Clark as well, 0.4 of a second, so a bit of separation between second and third, but Griffiths in fourth place, only 33 thousandths of a second behind third place, so still very close, and with 1 minute to go, 1 minute 30, it could definitely change.
This is a much longer course. You kind of touched on it for a moment. A much longer course than we saw earlier in the season in January. Of course, it's about double, I would have to guess, without looking at the lengths myself. I would have to guess it's about double what we saw for the Indy course. Nathan Davies is fastest in Pro-Am, Paul Donkin second, and Jamie Gulliford is third. He's the only one of the 3 that's on the racetrack. The other 2 are in the pit lane. You go further down the list and you'll find in 14th position overall, that's our first amateur driver, Michael Leese. He's been looking good later in the season. He's got some ground to make up, though.
Yeah, definitely a lot of ground to make up, but, well, with this qualifying, could be a turning point for him, obviously on the second to last round of the season, but it's still, just a good confidence boost. 0.3 of a second ahead of his closest competitor is Roger Morton, so doing really well. As you can see, now the number 992, 1.6 seconds off the leader, 0.3 of a second off from pole of his class. Also doing really well, Andrew, and these battles in the class, they're going to be really fun to watch, although these are the only 2 amateur drivers on the top 20.
Yeah, the amateurs today are kind of fallen back a little further than I would have expected. They've kind of mixed around a lot more the recent weeks than they are today. Just checking the points, Michael Leese comes into today 3rd in amateur, some 284 points behind class leader Adam Mitchinson, who is here today, 22nd so far in qualifying, and we'll see if that time bumps up at all as the time will expire, which means these guys will be able to finish up their lap and maybe a little more, and that's just about it. And well, that's not what you want if you're the 920 car of Adam Mitchinson off the racetrack. That's going to invalidate things. 2.5 minutes to go, but he cannot start that next lap. He's just got to go ahead and accept that his qualifying run is over. Back up to the top of the board, Jason Cooper still up top, James Sharp still second, James Clark still third, Tom Griffith still fourth. So a lot is holding in the top 10, including Nathan Davies holding on pole. Nothing has changed there in Pro-Am. Jamie Gulliford has not gone faster yet.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he cannot go fast. Looks like he's finishing up his lap, just coming into Clark Curve. Is it, or is that the back straightaway? Yeah, that's just Clark Curve. Yeah, he's just finishing up his lap. Let's see if he can improve his lap time. No, unfortunately for him. So he's going to stick with his lap time as well, Andrew, and this might just be our grid.
Chris Knox is trying to go a little faster. We'll see what he can do. He's actually behind Jason Cooper and in front of Andy McEwen on the racetrack. But not quite that way on the qualifying standings. He's 12th overall, so he's well behind Andy McEwen, who's 5th, and he's looking to pick up some time here. We'll see if he's able to do so. We'll go on board, and Cooper almost impedes. Yeah, I think he impeded his lap a little bit, and yeah, Chris Knox going to call that a day. I don't think he's too happy about that one. Yeah, I could be wrong. He may have been planning to abort anyways, but that looked like he was going for a lap and got held up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that also happened on the final corner. I saw
Oh,
him
Andy.
jumping a few. Andy McEwen in second place, just snatching that away on the last second as well. A great spot, Andrew.
We had our eyes all over Chris Knox when it was Andy McEwen. We should have been watching there, so props to Andy. And I talked with him actually over the weekend during the Bathurst race, and he said that he was just trying to celebrate at the end of the race at Silverstone that he won finally, as we see Alistair Hatcher, a brand new driver to the series from 88 Tech, moving up a spot into 25th overall, just ahead of Mark Oliver, Kevin McGlone, Adam McNally, and Fiona Siddons. But Andy said that he was just celebrating last week and cut it a little too close. He didn't quite know there was a gate opening there in the pit wall, and yeah, that was a close one for sure. So Andy McEwen, don't do that again. We've got just 20 seconds left here in qualifying. A big shout out goes to our partners here at Pit Stop TV. Of course, as per usual, Tucson Sound Art, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, Whiplash Media, and Whiplash Media Simcams, and of course, BAM Racing Videos. There's a lot of broadcasts to keep up with here at Pit Stop TV. We certainly invite you to do so. Keep up with us on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. We broadcast to 4 of the 5. The only one that we can't broadcast to, of course, is Instagram, but we post everything to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So plenty of ways to follow along here at Pit Stop TV. We certainly hope you come along for the wild, wild ride that will be 2022. JP, we've got a grid of some 30 cars almost to go through today. Starting on pole for race number 1, that is the one, the only, give it up for Jason Cooper in the number 1. Andy McEwen will roll off from that second position. Starting third in race number 1, you'll find the number 33 of James Sharp. You can kind of see, well, not kind of see him, you can see him front and center, well, front and right, bottom right anyways, that 33 car, as James Clark will roll off in 4th. Starting 5th, just about front and center, you'll see Tom Griffiths alongside teammate Nick Clibbins, and just ahead of their other teammate in Adam Delmont. Those three have always been so good this season. James Neve starts from 8th. Starting 9th, you will find the 522 and Pro-Am pole sitter of Nathan Davies, followed up by Paul Donkin.
11th place will go the ways of Jamie Gulliford, and alongside him the number 23 of Chris Knox in 12th place. 13th place will go to Michael Sealing, his number 57, and the number 921 of Michael Lees in 14th place. 15th place will go the ways of Roger Morton, what it's going to be the amateur pole sitter, and the 594 of Liam Silkstone in 16th place on his outside. 17th place will go to Julian Schroeder in his 578, and the 512 of Duncan Cope on his outside. And row number 10 for 19th spot will be Thor Tulo and Douglas Stewart on his outside.
Starting from the 21st position today, it's Glenn Humberstone. Adam Mitchinson rolls off 22nd here in race number 1. Starting 23rd, it's Craig Schill, then Colin Sansom. 25th, it's Alistair Hatcher. 26th is Mark Oliver. That's the end of the guys who actually qualified. The few drivers in the back who were not able to, be it for reasons unknown. Adam McNally, Kevin McGlone, and Fiona Siddons wrap up your 29-car grid. It's rare that we get that in before we go racing, but hey, we were able to just do so as we're ready for 10 laps approximately here in race number 1 at Brands Hatch Grand Prix. Everybody's up on the chip and green flag is out. Oh, already crashing! Duncan Cope, blindsided there by Thorotolo, and more crashing at the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend. I think that's Nathan Davies backwards. Yes, it is.
He quickly tries to rejoin the racetrack. Just looks like a small bump on his back bumper. As you can see, the rest of the field coming down the extra corners. You can see Jason Cooper still in the lead. We have nearly 3 wide action. As you can see, Chris Knox going down the inside. And, well, Angel, looks like we have an extra action of race number 1. Drivers really trying to get those positions early on in the race.
A lot of guys trying to find their way through this field. Everybody just trying to pick up a few spots off the start. That's always so important in these races. Into the forest section now, if you will. The extra bit that we didn't race in January, that's going to complicate things for these drivers today. And look at everybody there coming through. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I forget these corner names. I have the rest of it down pat, but the rest of it confuses me until you get down here to... Oh, we've got a challenge for the lead, actually. Jason Cooper and Andy McEwen are going to have some fun. Into Dingledell they go. Oh, and they're side by side.
Side by side, nearly touching. Jason Cooper still holds for the lead. The number 4 tries to go around the outside, tries to get a cutback line right here, and we might see even more challenges as we head into Clark Curve. Andrew, I wasn't expecting this early in the race.
Yeah, that was fun right there. Through Dingle Dell, we had a bit of a challenge for the race lead. I did not expect that. Nice wide shot there, everybody coming through. And that is a lap done and dusted nice and quickly here in race number 1. This is a dogfight. The 4 car up the inside for turn 1. Andy McEwen right down to the curbing on the inside, almost contact there with Jason Cooper.
Jason Cooper doing an amazing job of just holding that lead on the outside lane. I'm not quite sure how he did that, but, well, he managed to. He retains the lead as they go into Druids, now coming down to Graham Hill Bend and Andrew. Pretty sure McEwen is just doing everything he can to retain that, well, the track position right now. He seems very racy. Probably didn't have the lap time in qualifying, but on race pace, looks like the number 4 is really quick.
Picking up where he left off in race number 4 last week at Silverstone. Wants to get another win. Can he do so up against the best driver in the series? Problems for Colin Sansom. That is Andy McEwen's teammate backwards here. And that is headed down the Cooper straight as well. Outside of Graham Hill and headed down to Cooper and Surtees, and that's a problem for him. Kevin McClone will go on by, and that sorts that out. Back up front. Here we go again.
Here we go again. You can see the number 1 and the number 4 as they head into turn 7. That was, well, turn 7. That was the blind corner we were talking about. And it's so difficult. As you can see, number 4 maybe just looking down the inside. No, this is turn 7, actually. This is the action we saw previously as we had Andy McEwen trying to go down the inside, but they retained position. And this is just going to be a dogfight. But interesting, Andrew, they're driving away from James Sharp.
Yeah, they're starting to use that draft to their advantage. It's so important in Miata racing, as you can see right there, just staying in tuck, if you will. Andy McEwen trying to draft with Jason Cooper a little bit. I don't know if that's by design right now. I think he wants to race Jason Cooper, but you also got to realize this is lap 2 of 9, maybe 10. Let's sit in behind, and now he's going to challenge for turn 1 again, or at least poke a nose and show Jason Cooper that he wants to go on by. We got a nice little battle back here, though, side by side. Chris Knox and Adam Delmont contact there, maybe.
Yeah, a bit of contact. As you can see, the Lego car just kind of just having a bit of a rough time, but passing the number 77 looks like, can he clear him before Graham Hill Bend? Not quite. The number 77 has other thoughts about it and retains that position for now. Chris Knox making a lot of spots on the early part of this race, Andrew, and he's definitely not done. As you can see, just trying to go around the outside, but cannot really go. But he's going to have the cutback line, and this is a long straightaway. We might see a change for position.
We're going to see a lot going on down here. Tom Griffiths might have a move on James Clark, potentially. Chris Knox might be going for a move. Yes, he's alongside Adam Delmont. This is going to be a big day of racing, I think. This has me more excited now than I already was for BSRTC on Thursday as well. This is going to be really good racing all week.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a racetrack that kind of just favors this race. As you can see, just going side by side. Somehow they're not touching. That is absolutely massive respect for these two drivers. You can see now Chris Knox trying to go down the inside of turn 7. Still not touching. Adam Delmont touches the grass. They make a little bit of contact. No harm, no foul. They retain position. Andrew, this is a titanic battle. This is absolutely amazing to see.
They'll work down past Clearways and into Clark Curve one more time. Oh, nice crossover there out of Chris Knox. That's going to be good for the position, at least to the start-finish line. He will take 6th place away from Adam Delmont, but for how long?
Well, at least into turn 1, looks like he's going to have that position. As you can see now, James Neve trying to get that position from the number 77, but Delmont closes the door, and now he may look into Chris Knox as they head into Druids. Will he look down the inside? Chris closes the door, and they're braking. They make a little bit of contact. They both keep pointing at the right direction. Can the Lego theme card keep pointing the same direction? Yes, they can. And Andrew, this is definitely far from over. This is intense.
This is really good stuff, and this is for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. A lot of guys in line here, including Liam Silkstone. As there's a move from Delmont up the inside. Here's a look from Liam Silkstone as Paul Donkin is up the inside. This is, and a crash there. Chris Knox and Adam Delmont have crashed out of Surtees. Large contact, just the wrong time.
Yeah, just the wrong time to be maybe just too aggressive for these guys. They're going to return in the same position they were in, Andrew, and I'm interested to see how that happened. That was on the exit of Surtees. We just saw Adam Delmont going down the inside really deep on their braking, but on the exit, surely there was a bit of contact.
Here's a good look at it. Chris Knox ahead of Adam Delmont, car 23 and car 77. Delmont to the inside there in Surtees. Knox going to try and come back up the inside and just didn't quite have room for it. I think Delmont was trying to cover it up a little bit, and they just kind of meet in the middle, make some contact, and go around. And, you know, unfortunately, that's pretty cut and dry racing incident. They're just trying to take room away from each other and made contact in the middle. They will now sort out just ahead of your amateur race leader of Michael Lease as they work through Clark right here. Yeah, Clearway's cart, same thing as Michael Lease. I mentioned leading amateur. Yeah, he's got a second and change gap right now back to Fiona Siddons as those two are going to do some battle again. This is actually pretty big for Michael Lease and Fiona Siddons. Fiona, starting from the back of the grid, is up to 17th. That is ahead of 10 cars or so. That's actually ahead of 11 cars in just a few laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And those two battling once again definitely might slow down Michael Lease just enough to allow Fiona maybe to catch. So we might see a battle. It looks like actually second place. Roger Morton injury is on up into 11th. So that is second place on the amateur class. But these two.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. I thought that was the lead. Good eye.
Yeah, so these two are still going to go together. So the battle for second might still be on if these two keep going the same way they were before. And, well, my bet is, well, they're actually going to do it. As you can see now, Roger Morton, the amateur leader, near the overall top 10, just holding, looks like James Schroer and Douglas Stewart. As you can see now, Delmont and Chris Knox once again, side by side. Will there be any contact on exit?
Yes,
Not quite.
There was just a tiny bit. You could just hear it in the camera. A tiny bit of contact. Here we go. Chris Knox setting up another crossover. That's out of Westfield. To Dingledell will go. This could get hairy. We saw this on lap 1 with McEwen and Cooper. Right out to the exit grass. Delmont on the grass fully. Gets back onto the racetrack. Holds control here. This is good stuff.
That was amazing car control for the number 77. He just managed to keep the power while on the grass, pointing in the same direction and keep himself on the braking zone. As you can see now, they're both going at it. As you can see, Chris Knox nearly having the full car on the grass, trying to get that inside line, trying to get the run as we head into turn number 1. As you can see, even Michael Lease might get in the action right here, Andrew. If they make contact, that's 2 free positions for him.
And there has just been an issue for Fiona Siddons. She has had a crash as we've got contact with Delmont and Knox. This is on board with Michael Lease, who's now got a route up the inside of his teammate, actually. Oh, and he gets into Chris Knox, and he's going to send the 23 car. And contact there again.
They both make contact again. Michael Lease just went too deep under braking into Druids. Takes both of them out.
Wow. Wow. And Michael Lease and Adam Delmont are teammates, both under the Excite Energy banner. Wow. Craig Schill, Glenn Humberstone going to do some battle. There's some teammates as well as, Humberstone way out wide there in Surtees. That opens the door for Chris Knox, who's now going to try and take a spot here from Craig Schill. Schill, of course, with that overall race win back at Daytona so many weeks ago now.
And Chris Knox might just have the position down the inside. Craig doesn't really fight him, knows it's probably not his battle at the moment, just lets him go. Probably could just follow that Lego car, which is looking really, really racy, Andrew. Even with a tiny little bit of damage, that pace is really strong.
Let's go back up front. Things are still close. We're down to 5 minutes to go. This will be, looks like 4 laps to go across the line. It could be 3 depending on time here. Jason Cooper, a challenge from the outside now. Andy McEwen looks left around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. No dice there. Going to try and work something out through Pilgrims and into Druids. And Cooper's way off.
Yeah, I saw just a dash of brake light mid-corner, and, well, that's the confirmation. Just went too wide. He still retained that position, closing the door into Druids, just leaving an absolutely car whiff. And, well, McEwen can do nothing about it, cannot really find the gap. That's, well, Andrew, we had Jason Cooper giving us lessons on qualifying pace, on race pace, but this is just lessons on defending.
That was interesting. Very interesting the way he was able to defend that. I think Andy certainly cut him some slack there, knowing he's the points leader. And these guys are your points leaders in the series overall. Cooper and McEwen, they're being careful. Being very, very careful with one another. 5 pros. I don't know why I said 3. 5 pros here in a line as James Clark is able to look on from a little further back. This is going to get fun. 4 minutes to go. McEwen looks to the inside there. Through Westfield, no move, but he is looking each and every corner. He's just checking his opportunities.
Just went a tiny little bit wide, and as you mentioned, Andrew, he's just filling the mirrors as well of Jason Cooper, just trying to let him know that he's there, and he might just go for any gap that presents itself. We saw him going down the inside of turn 7 into Dingle-Dell, and well, he might just do it on each and every single corner. It looks like Cooper got a way better run out of, what is that, Sterling Bend than the number 4, and James Sharp allowed himself to close in, but this battle's far from over. Looks like it's just Jason Cooper might just be stronger on the second part of the lap, and McEwen just on the first one.
We'll see what McEwen can do here. Getting an expected 3 laps to go that time by. These guys are lapping at a minute 30, a minute 40 really, about a minute 38. It's going to be close if they get that 3rd lap. Very, very close as McEwen closes in Druids.
Closes in, not a lot of room for opportunities. You can see now the gap is down to 0.2 of a second, just closing and closing. So the number 4 is really strong on this first part of the course, but cannot really find a spot to get past the number 1. Maybe if he goes for a dive bomb. Is it too early? Is it too late, Andrew? Is it the time to maybe go for an opportunistic move like that?
It's still too early, I think. You've got to sit behind him and wait for that last lap. We haven't seen the big draft fest. All right, well, we haven't seen the side-by-side draft fest like we've seen at Silverstone, last week, and we've seen in previous weeks. As here we go, a challenge up the outside of Hawthorne. We haven't seen that kind of pack racing. Oh, and there's contact!
Oh, no.
McEwen gets forced off there by Jason Cooper just a little bit of contact, puts McEwen back into 4th. That's going to change, certainly, the rest of this race. That's big, as Andy's going to try and look back, try to get around Tom Griffiths, maybe side by side. He thought about it, but no dice there. But we haven't seen that kind of pack racing aspect that we saw last week especially. It's a draft fest in that they're sitting in a line, but that's about it. So you got to wait for that last moment. You don't have that 2-3 wide racing we even saw here earlier on in the season around the Indy course.
Absolutely not. It's just strong enough to maybe just keep you, as you mentioned, in that line, but not strong enough. Oh, as Jason Cooper dipped the wheel into the grass, that's going to allow the number 33 of just to go around his outside. Can he clear? Can James Sharp be strong enough and brave enough to go down the outside of Cooper? Looks like Cooper outbroke himself. Can he stick it on the racetrack? Yes, he can. So this is really interesting. Goes really wide, saves it again. This lap is promising.
That was 2 laps to go last time by the stripe. On board with Andy McEwen here in 4th. This is really good stuff. This is proper racing as we get down to it. Chris Knox, Nathan Davies, they're doing battle further back. That's going to be exciting to see how that sorts out. Paul Donkin is leading in Pro-Am. In fact, he's just a little ways behind this battle as they work through Surtees now. Here's a look at Paul Donkin in the 529. He got a win at Snetterton a few weeks back. Gulliford is in 2nd in class, 9th overall, and Liam Silkstone is further back in that shot. There you see the 594 trying to hang on to that spot over Roger Morton, who's doing a fantastic job, a bang-up job, certainly, in the 992, leading in amateur, and now racing Silkstone for a top 10 overall.
Yeah, looks he got a great run into, well, the back straightaway, and he's going to go side by side. We saw this happening last time around. The car on the outside got contact and was forced really wide. Will Roger Morton stick around the outside? Not quite. He's going to try the cutback line. That's going to allow him to have the inside line for the next 3 corners. This could be really beneficial for him. He's going to stick it on the outside. It might just have that position. That's just changing. Roger Morton or Silkstone, who's going to come out on the overall top 10. As you can see, 2 teammates behind him trying to sort out into position. Looks like Morton might just have it, but Silkstone held it around the outside. He's going to have the inside line for this corner, and that's going to be a bit of contact. No. This is great racing as well, Andrew.
And Michael Lease has had a problem. He is slow getting back rolling and a lot of damage on his 921. The right front is gone. White flag is out, presented by Whiplash Sim Cams. Here we go. Final lap for the pros up front. This is going to get exciting. James Sharp defending on the inside. Hits Jason Cooper. Spins him out. And that's 3 of the 5 gone. Andy McEwen and James Clark will be able to pull away. And Jason Cooper has got to be thinking, what are you doing? Oh my goodness. Paul Donkin slings it out sideways. Andy McEwen and James Clark, that's now your battle for the race win.
This is for the last lap, so now Clark has an opportunity to see their race victory. He just has to draft, just have to get the best exit possible on the final few corners of the race. And now you can see Paul Donkin trying to defend from Michael Seal on the overall top 5 as well, Andrew. That's extremely good for him. Roger Morton is on the overall top 10, but I guess the story of this race is going to be the contact between the number 33 and the number 1.
Jason Cooper has kept himself in third. He went around, sure, but got back going pretty nicely. Has been aggressive to hold on to that third spot, hold on to a podium position. This is still going to be a good race for Jason, but not what he wanted, certainly, and I think we'll race the 33 as such later on. Here we go, final few corners into Sterling's, maybe? Yes, Sterling's now. It looks like for your race leaders, so a final couple of opportunities for James Clark to have something to say about this race win. Can he pass Andy McEwen in Clark and to the start-finish line? He leans back, trying to get a run at it, pops the curbing. Can James Clark do anything? I think not. It is all Andy McEwen to the start-finish line. Checkered flag flies, and Andy's got another one.
What a race. What a way to get your second victory. It was on pace at one point, but got lucky at the end. As you can see now, Jason Cooper getting the win. They're getting third place for him. Paul Donkin finishing in fifth place, Andrew. That's a really strong result for him. Gulliford and Stewart, 9th and 10th for a three Pro-Ams in the overall top 10. Roger Morton, unfortunately, dropping to 12th place, but still winning the amateur class.
Oh, Delmont and Davies across the line. That was interesting out of Clark Curve, as a couple more will come across the line. Colin Sansom, Alistair Hatcher. Mark Oliver should come across in just one moment, along with Kevin McGlone. Actually, Sansom is the next one across the line. There we go, the year one 976 of Colin Sansom across the line now. Hatcher will be next up. Hatcher will finish 21st. Oliver will finish 22nd. Kevin McGlone will finish 23rd. Michael Lease will end up 24th. And I do want to go ahead, before we take to our spinning wheel, actually, this is pretty important. A couple of big incidents that we got to go back and review. One of them to go back and look at quickly is certainly what we saw right there on the last lap between our leaders, Jason Cooper and James Sharp. That, I think, is where we've got to start. And let's see if we can find it here. So this is up front. This is actually a little bit early, I think. We'll see if we can find it. And found it we have. So let's go ahead and get a look here. So this is the back end of the previous lap, JP, and this is going to let all of this develop. We're going to get a look at this first, and then we'll get our results and our spinning wheel, and then we'll get some more looks at replays, but this is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, this is going to be the lead up to the, turn one, which is essentially going to cascade everything. As you can see, Cooper getting a good enough gap to the number 33. Now, the number 33 got, Sharp got a really good run on the final corner. It's going to force the number one to go defensive. And at that moment, I thought he went really wide because he just broke so late, managed to get the car stopped. And as you can see, Sharp just going defensive and, just going too fast into the braking zone just takes out the number one.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot else to say about it, really. Like, you've got it about down pat, actually. That's pretty well what happened. So let's get one more look at it. Let's get it from the onboard of James Sharp, and then we'll go ahead and get this sorted for the invert. This is big, though. This is going to change, I think, the course of the day, obviously. To have this in race one, this is going to put a really bad taste in Jason Cooper's mouth. And it's certainly nothing intentional. It's just racing for the win here. Two really good teams, two really good drivers. You got SRC Movano here for James Sharp and 5-Star Motorsport for Jason Cooper. They've been fantastic all season long, and it's just a little bit of contact at the end, but it's going to change things the rest of the day. And I don't know, Jason Cooper could be the guy to go ahead and shrug it off, say, yep, it's just racing. Could also be the guy to certainly not give any room to Sharp the rest of the day. I mean, he was never going to make that corner.
No, absolutely not. Just carried way too much speed. I'm not quite sure if he was just focusing on defending and just completely missed his braking point. He just, just looking in the mirror. But that was just way too deep, even for the racing line.
Yeah, that was really, really deep. We'll go ahead and spin now and get a chance to see our first invert of the day. And you know what? For somebody who hadn't commentated these races before, Zach Lindgren joined me last Thursday. He really enjoyed this part. He wasn't sure what to expect at first, as we do have an invert of 15 to get the day started. So that's actually quite interesting. That's one of the smaller options, I guess one of the mid-range options. We've got a 17 on there, a 19. You can see a 21, a 22. So some room for some different inverts than we've seen before in this season. And 15, kind of right in the middle, I feel like, a lot of the options we've got there. So we'll go ahead and get a look at our results. I'll actually go ahead and get up to live, pull up the results. And JP, this is your top 10.
Andy McEwen on the last lap got gifted the win. It was nearly on pace for him until the final 2-3 laps, but well, he managed to get it done, and that's his second win of the season. James Carr just missed out on by 1.5 tenths. Jason Cooper, who was leading the whole race and unfortunately got taken out on the last lap, finishes in third. James Neave in fourth. Paul Donkin with an impressive 5th place finishes, wins the Pro-Am class. Michael Steele in 6th place ahead of Tom Griffiths. Jamie Gulliford is going to finish in 8th place ahead of James Sharp, who had contact with Jason Cooper, and Douglas Stewart is going to finish in 10th place to wrap up the Pro-Am podium.
Finishing 11th here in race 1, you'll find Liam Silkstone, and he will finish 4th in class. That's pretty crazy. A Pro-Am driver in 11th overall, 4th in class. That's insane, as Roger Morton will get his class race win here in 12th overall. Julian Schroer will finish 13th, Nick Clibbins 14th, and Adam Delmont in 15th, and that's where you see the invert, which means Adam Delmont is up to pole for race number 2, and Nathan Davies misses it by that little much, just over a tenth, not even a tenth and a half there for Nathan Davies, separating him from pole position and 16th for this next race. Chris Knox 17th, Glenn Humberstone 18th, Craig Schill 19th, and Colin Sansom 20th. So your top 5 for race 2 to start the race will be Adam Delmont, Nick Clibbins, Julian Schroer, Roger Morton, and Liam Silkstone.
Finishing in 21st place is going to be the brand new driver of Alistair Hatcher. Well, I guess it's a great result, Andrew, for your first race, 21st place, ahead of some big names as well. Mark Oliver is going to finish in 22nd, Kevin McGlone in 23rd, Michael Lees, Fiona Sidders in 24th and 25th respectively, Duncan Cope in 26th, 27th will go the way of Thor Tulo, Adam Mitchinson in 28th, and 29th for Adam McNally. Quite a few casualties, Andrew, on this first race.
Yeah, a few big ones there, and I do want to go ahead and get a look before we leave this first session of the day. I really want to take a look what happened to Michael Lees, because we talked about him so much, and he's been so good these last few weeks. That's going to be a big one in the amateur category, so if we can go and get a look back at that, I would certainly like to. We've actually just about found it, so this will be the minute leading up to his demise. You see he's racing here with Nick Clibbins, one of his teammates. You've got Chris Knox, Nathan Davies, and Adam Delmont behind, and by the way, we will talk to Andy McEwen here in just a few moments, right after we see this replay.
So you can see this is leading up to Surtees, and we saw this corner getting a few incidents before, Andrew, with Chris Knox and Adam Delmont, and looks like it's not going to be here. So this is the back straightaway of Pilgrim's Drop in Hawthorne Hill. This is a mouthful for someone that doesn't have English as their first language. You can see now Michael Lee's looking down the outside of Hawthorne Bend. Will we see contact here? Oh, yeah. Chris Knox
gets driven through.
So that explains why he finished behind Delmont.
Yeah, that sorts him out further back after their contact earlier on. I think it was that last little bit of very close contact that really does Michael Lee save him. Let's go back and watch this one more time from Lisa's point of view, and then we'll get, who was it? That was Delmont that came through, and that was close. That was very, very close for Delmont to miss him.
It's just nothing he could have done. Maybe just caught up and... Oh!
Yeah.
Oh,
that's close.
Yeah, that was... His heart went, well, skyrocketed for a few minutes there.
Yeah, I can imagine that certainly would raise your heart rate. Let's go ahead and get a talk with our race winner when it's all said and done, the one and the only Andy McEwen. And JP, here is the driver of the 4-car. Oh, never mind. He actually dropped out of our interview waiting booth. Andy McEwen, you guy, you. This guy. He was here. I promise. He was here. We were about to drag him in and everything. Andy, if you're out there listening to us, you just bailed on your own interview, my guy. But we'll go ahead and that means that we can actually take our quick intermission and be right back to you in just a few moments. And maybe then we'll talk with Andy McEwen. Maybe then he'll pop back in and we'll be able to talk to him before race number 2. JP, that is race 1, and we get a chance to catch our breaths, literally, for me, and get ready for a fun one coming up. Do not go anywhere. More racing coverage of the British Sim Racers MX-5 Trophy Tuesdays coming up right after this. Welcome back to the virtual Brands Hatch Circuit and the British Sim Racers Trophy Tuesdays. We got MX-5s on track once again, and warm-up is underway for race number 2. It's an invert of 15, JP, between races 1 and 2, and that's going to change up a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely going to change up quite a bit in this next round. It's definitely going to be a new challenge for those faster guys that we saw, especially the top 5. They're going to have to battle their way through a lot of cars in. Well, it's going to be a new challenge for them, but it's definitely going to be very fun for us to watch and commentate.
I do always enjoy coming to Brands Hatch. I don't know what it is about it. I've enjoyed it since first. I think my first experience with Brands Hatch Circuit on a video game was Real Racing 3. If you recall that game from the mobile, iOS and Google Play platforms. Ever since then, it's just been a favorite, at least for me. And once I was able to drive it on iRacing finally, I was like, yep, this place is worth it. And I'm very glad we have a British series now that embraces just how good this place is. And coming to Brands Hatch twice in this season, once on the Indy course, once on the Grand Prix course. That gives us 8 total races here. I'm all for it. I am very much all for it. It's been fantastic. Every single race we've had, and I say 8 total races, that's 8 total races per series. 16 total with just the BSR guys this season alone, JP. Yeah, we're getting our full share, if you will, of Brands Hatch for sure as we get ready for race number 2. As mentioned at the back end of race number 1, it's Adam Delmont starting on pole. Starting second, you will find Nick Clibbins, thanks to the invert. Starting third, it's Jillian Schoer. Fourth, Roger Morton. Anyways, starting 5th, you'll find Liam Silkstone. 6th will be Douglas Stewart. We'll go through the top 15 here and then let these guys get ready to go racing. James Sharp there, 7th. Jamie Gulliford, 8th. Starting 9th, it's Tom Griffith. Starting 10th is Michael Seal.
11th place will go the way of Paul Donkin. 12th place, James Neve. 13th place in row number 7 will go the way of Jason Cooper. James Clark in 14th place. And as we mentioned, 15th place will go the way of number 4, Andy McEwen.
Red lights are on, waiting on the green lights here before we get race number 2 started. Everybody back up on the chip, and green flag is out for race 2. A much cleaner start. Down to Graham Hill Bend we go. Delmont leads. Then it's Clibbins, Schroer, Morton, Silks on your top 5. Delmont's way off.
It goes really wide, and that's going to be costing him the lead, maybe even 2nd place. Yes, he does. He's going to be challenging even for the 3rd place, but looks like he's going to be keeping that position for now. As you can see now, the rest of the field going up out of Surtees into Pilgrim's Drop, and as you can see, as mentioned, Andrew, a very clean start. As you can see, even McEwen going a little bit wider into the grass, but looks like the whole field gets it clean, at least through sector 1.
Oh, nearly 3 wide. Shaw around the outside of Clibbins. This is good stuff. Into Hawthorne now. It's Westfield next, then Dingledell, Sterlings, and Clark will wrap up the lap. Here's a good look at them coming out of Westfield.
As you can see, the rest of the field's pretty much in single file. Really difficult as well. We saw plenty of drivers going side by side, but it's really difficult, at least on lap 1. As you can see, even more. As you can see, a car going wide. That's just ahead of Jason Cooper.
That was Roger Morton out way wide. He gets back on the racetrack, it looks like, but certainly lost a lot of time. He drops down to the 9th position, maybe 10th. And oh boy, he could put himself in a really odd position here for the end of lap number 1. Up front, a battle for the race lead. Julian Schroer has figured something out.
Definitely has. He's going to be finishing the lap. Looks like maybe 2nd or 3rd place. As you can see, Delmont on the inside. Yeah, 3rd place. As you can see, Clibbins leading from Delmont from Schroer. Griffith, Silkson, and Stewart are top 6. They're still going to battle. As you can see, going 3 wide. Fiona Sid is on the middle of a sandwich, but looks like they're going to sort themselves out. Oh, and we have a car. Is that Jason Cooper going really wide out of turn 1? Looks like he gets his car under control.
Everybody sorts themselves out for now. Everybody's still rolling, in fact, all the way back to the guys further back that are 2-3 wide and really getting into some trouble further back here. Looking at Adam Mitchinson, Duncan Cope, Craig Schill. So a better start here for Duncan Cope, not wiped out on lap number 1, and that's big.
Yeah, that's good for him. This is going to be a good, at least, start of the race for him, as you mentioned, not being wiped out on lap number 1. He could prove, well, could post a nice challenge back towards the field. As you can see now, unfortunately, we're in a little bit wide into Surtees. It might have that position challenge. As you can see, even a few more drivers battling. And we almost saw again, Andrew, 3 wide as Delmon retake the lead. And Schroer's trying to fight himself. They're going 3 wide.
Nick Clibbins way out in the dirt, gets back on, now gets back off the racetrack, and that could be dangerous. Gets back on safely. That was a good catch. There's crashing ahead.
Oh, crashing ahead, a puff of smoke, as you can see. Schroer
and Sharp are out there.
Oh.
Certainly some damage to the Schroer machine and damage to James Sharp as well, but nothing too crazy, actually. Looks like they have all their wheels with them, which is always good.
Yeah, absolutely. Suspension is not collapsing. Wheels are connected, so they probably can keep on racing. As you can see, Dalmon retook the lead on that lap. He came from 3rd place and retook it. Tom Griffith still 0.3 of a second trying to challenge it. Then Silkstone and Stewart, 2 Pro-Ms in the top 4. That's going to be an interesting battle for the lead.
Big move there from McEwen. He gets up to the inside of Neve, takes that spot away, now chasing Michael Seal. You mentioned the Pro-Ms up here in the top 5. Douglas Stewart now with an opportunity to race for a potential class win with Liam Silkstone. And Liam has been very confident, has wanted a lot out of himself these last few weeks, and this might be his best chance to get something pretty good.
Yeah, something pretty good. He's on the overall podium as well, so if he can hold that position for the time being, that's going to be really interesting. But unfortunately for him, he has the number 1 right behind him, Andrew, so that podium position could be challenged very, very soon.
Oh, a big crash behind! Nathan Davies in trouble with Paul Donkin. And Kevin McGlone slams into him head on.
Oh, that was... We almost saw that car flipping.
That was a big, big hit. I'm gonna look back at it now. Yeah, that was large. That was officially large. So watch that green car. He's actually going to be behind the start of it. It looks like it's going to start with Paul Donkin. So we go ahead and get the 529 car. He's racing with Jamie Gulliford just behind James Neve. It was just in the background of that battle with Andy McEwen, who had just gotten by James Neve and was just gotten ahead of James Neve, was now behind Michael Seal. And watch this. Gulliford outside, Donkin inside, Nathan Davies there. Donkin gets sideways. Gulliford tips him around, and oh boy.
Donkin got loose all by himself, and that's a massive front end hit.
It's a really weird part of the racetrack too. Hard to get a good camera there. But boy, that was something. As we've got a lot of battles all across the racetrack. We'll rejoin with Jamie Gulliford and Michael Lease, who are battling not for class position, interestingly enough. Gulliford, a Pro-Am, who has now lost a spot to Michael Lease, who is now your amateur race leader. Roger Morton has dropped well down the order into 22nd, but Michael Lease has promoted himself to 11th through some hard work.
Yeah, 11th, just outside the top 10, so he's in for a really good race right now if he can keep the car pointing at the same direction. And look at the train that he has ahead of him, Andrew. Anything could happen in that train, and he could find himself on the overall top 10. Obviously, having to fend off Gulliford right behind him. As you can see, 3 drivers looks like going side by side as we had just outside of the back straightaway, but it looks like all of them sort themselves out back into, well, a single file. And as you can see, James Cooper looks like he lost a few positions as well, Andrew, so he was involved in some sort of incident.
Yeah, Cooper fell back a couple of spots, but it could have just been that he went off a little bit and, lost a little bit of time as these guys are mixing paint. We've got Andy McEwen trying to defend now from Douglas Stewart, who he just got past. Liam Silkstone there right behind Douglas Stewart. Stewart got by Liam Silkstone, obviously, so it might have been an issue there with Silkstone and Cooper. They might have gotten together and potentially lost some positions themselves, as Seal and Knox are all over the case. These guys are racing hard.
Yeah, they're racing really hard. Knox really trying to fight back. He started in 17th place. He's already up into 7th. And he has the inside line of Michael Seal and might just have that position done. We have a car. That's Silkstone.
That is Liam Silkstone.
Really wide into turn 1. Just misses. Was that Michael Seal who just missed it? And comes back safely into the overall top 10. No, 12th place. So he dropped a lot of position. As you can see, even more contact ahead of him.
He's going to be top 10 in a second.
Wow, that's just threading the needle.
The C's parted for him at just the right time. Gets back into the top 10. How about that? That time, you actually gave him a little bit of a benefit. So maybe the curse is over potentially from JP, as we've got these guys still battling in the top 10. And let's go all the way to the front, where teammates are training together, drafting together to lead this race, and they are well clear of everybody else, almost 5 seconds between second and third.
They're just cruising around that point, aren't they? Oh, Fiona Siddons has
Oh my
trouble.
goodness.
Oh, just came really close to Paul Donkey, rejoined safely. It looks like that's just out of sight of Surtees. So maybe just outbraking, probably just missed the braking point at that point. It's just really easy to do on a corner with such a late apex.
Yeah, I've noticed that Surtees is quite difficult. Let's get a look back at it here for Fiona Siddons. And, oh, some contact there with Mark Oliver. Sends her way out into the grass and, oh, just misses that barrier. How about that?
And that rejoin was just really close to Paul Donkey. But yeah, to completely take that back, was not missing brake point. It was just a bit of contact. And unfortunately for her, loses maybe 2 or 3 spots, having to do the work all over again. As you can see, the leaders working together, Cooper and McEwen. We saw this before, haven't we, Andrew?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rinse and repeat, these two. McEwen and Cooper back at it. This time, though, it's for third position instead of first. Of course, those leaders, the Excite Energy drivers of Delmont and Griffiths, have taken off. You wonder then if maybe, just maybe, Andy and Jason could potentially work together and close in. So far, it's not worked out.
I'm not quite sure if that will happen. It looks like Cooper is really racing, trying to get that position back. Now we're going to... Oh, there you go. That's going to answer. Then it looks like they're not going to be working together too much. As you can see, Cooper parking it on the apex, forcing McEwen to go on the brakes. So that's really might not sit well with the number 4. And that's going to allow him to fall under pressure from Chris Knox. That's going to be really interesting if those 3 start battling amongst each other.
Knox are on the outside of Hawthorne. Oh, that was so close again. Hawthorne has been very dangerous. You don't really want to go side by side usually, but they've figured it out so far. McEwen gets a spot back there in Westfield. And Chris Knox fighting to the inside, wants that line, accepts defeat, goes back around the outside now, and oh my gosh, right back across his nose. McEwen is defending pretty tough right now.
Pretty tough. He definitely doesn't want to lose that 4th spot. Doesn't want to give maybe Cooper too much of a breathing room. Obviously, he lost nearly a second on this battle, allowed the whole rest of the pack to catch up, but he definitely wants that track position. Probably think he has the pace to drive away from everybody.
And of course, it's McEwen and Cooper who are battling the points. We believe 1 drop week is now enabled for these guys because the gaps changed up rather drastically, as this is a big gaggle of race cars into Clark here. But yeah, it's McEwen and Cooper coming down to it for the championship. They're the closest 2 out of anybody, and it's quite a margin back to Griffiths, who's within, I think, range of potentially to make a challenge for second, maybe first, even Casper DeCourt. But Casper DeCourt's not here today, and Tom Griffiths needs to execute the rest of the day, I think, to start closing in that gap to Andy McEwen with 1 week to go after today. Some great racing further back. This is just around the top 20, and Duncan and Mitchinson make contact. Mitchinson has to go wide. There opens up the door for Oliver. As you see Schill doing battle with Duncan just ahead. That's through, oh my gosh, Graham Hill Bend. There we go. I know what that is. Great stuff.
And Paul Duncan looks like he's going to get that position. As you can see now, Cooper still driving away. As you can see, this battle is very much alive. Craig Schill did a great job defending from Paul Duncan, who... well, has a stronger pace. Oh, no!
Big contact there out of Surtees. Mitchinson and Oliver with a lot of damage. And Oliver will get back going and get a chance to continue on to this race. Don't take out your teammate. That was close for Hatcher.
I definitely clenched my teeth there just looking at that 88 tech car, just kind of rejoining back on the circuit. As you can see, even more battling throughout. This is on the latter part of the race track. As you can see, yeah, Sterling on the very last part of the racetrack. As you can see, they're going side by side into Clark Corner. You can see, are we going to see 3 wide action maybe into the start-finish line, Andrew? I wouldn't rule that out. As you can see, the number 599 getting a really good run, and he might just get 2 positions.
This is a good Pro-Am battle, actually. This is for your race win. Liam Silkstone, Douglas Stewart, Jamie Gulliford. They've fallen out of the top 5, sure, but they're still occupying that top 10, and Michael Leese is closing in. Michael Leese is the amateur race leader. This is good stuff.
This is great stuff for him. This is a great race for him. As you can see, now these 3 battling is going to allow him to close up and maybe get within the action, maybe just sneak it into the overall top 10. As you can see now, Silkstone gets that position over Douglas Stewart, and looks like Douglas might be compromised and might fall under pressure as we head into Surtees, as Gulliford is definitely going to try to look to a way past him, but looks like they're going to stick into position for the time being. But this is definitely not over, and I wouldn't rule out this guy as well. Michael Lee's doing a fantastic job. We might just hit him on top.
Well, he's going to be on top of his class, certainly, unless these guys have a running into. He's got 5, 6, maybe 7 seconds back to Roger Morton. It's certainly a healthy gap right now back to his closest amateur competitor. All he's got to do is finish this race at this point and not have an incident, and whoa. Yeah, I mean, I can't blame him for getting close to these guys, but he's got to be careful as Gulliford runs wide and now blocks. Yeah, you got to be very, very careful racing with these guys. You do not want to get mixed into something here if you're Michael Lees. Let the Wookiee win in this case, right? Let Gulliford do his thing.
And as you can see now, getting a bit of compromise, maybe just getting a bit too carried away with the battle. You know, just as you mentioned, if he just sticks in 12th place, that's going to be a great result for him. That's going to be a victory for his class, but I'm pretty sure he wants the top 10, Andrew. And, as you can see, is that Silkstone diving into the pits?
That was, yes, that is Liam Silkstone. Good eye.
Oh, wow.
He is this not happy.
Penalty?
Yeah, that's definitely a penalty. Well, that is a race completely changed for Liam Silkstone. It's 2 to go, though, for our race leaders, who are some way far up the course, actually. Where exactly are they? Is that out of Surtees? No, that is the Cooper straight into Surtees, yes. And Delmont with the race lead, Griffith second place. They're going to have to battle at some point, just like these guys are doing further back.
As you can see, McEwen closed in the gap. As you can see him, maybe Chris Knox allowed him to as well. And, this battle's definitely not over. Cooper now having to defend once again from the number 4. And Chris Knox maybe is going to try to, utilize a bit of that battle and to maybe sneak into the 3rd place position. But, Andrew, we saw this on the race before and kind of got cut off short. Will we see a last lap move between the number 4 and the number 1?
I think so. It's certainly not going to... Well, whatever sorts this battle out, it's not going to be this lap, right? Unless they crash, they're going to have some kind of coming together, some kind of battle here on the final lap, certainly, the way McEwen has been so good and has been able to challenge Cooper. Further up, Delmont is about to take the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams. They're into Clark Curve now. There we go, turning in for the corner. Delmont leading, and it's Griffith second place. This is going to get good.
It's going to get really good. Will the teammates do a last lap shootout between them? As you can see, Delmont going defensive. Griffith's going for the outside line. And as you can see now, Cooper, McEwen, and Chris Knox as well on that shot. Absolutely amazing. Delmont goes really wide. The number 11 goes really wide as well. Chris Knox gets past McEwen, and now he has a clear shot at Jason Cooper on the last lap. Everything is happening, Andrew. I'm not quite sure if I can keep following it.
We'll let our teammates dance for just a moment, as these guys are really where the action's at. And you can see one of their Excite Energy teammates in this group as well, actually. Back there in Nick Clibbins. Cooper a bit wide, but I think that's helping him here as he gets a good run out of Graham Hill Bend. Chris Knox there in 4th. Andy McEwen 5th. Michael Seal in 6th. Nick Clibbins in 5th. Caboose here on this nice little battle as they'll work out of Surtees and right back into the forest.
As you can see now, this is going to be where the time is all gained. As you can see, the gap between the leaders is dropping. The number 77 is still defending. It looks like Griffiths does not battle his teammate too hard. As you can see now, still in line, Cooper, Knox, McEwen, Sill, and Clibbins. Now the teammates battling. Looks like this is heading into turn 7. Looks like they're really close. The number 11 goes down the inside. Can they both make it through alive? Looks like Delmont's going to be sticking on the outside. The number 11 goes really tight. And that might just do it, Andrew.
Chris Knox is wide further back, and Clibbins with a spin. He's going to lose spots. Let's get back to it with Delmont coming to the line. It's Clark Curve, and that's it for these two up ahead. And Adam Delmont has a free ticket ahead of his teammate. It's not over just yet. Now I think it might be. Adam Delmont's going to grab himself a race win here at Brands Hatch.
After a great battle and great help of his teammate, they both finished 1-2. Then it's going to be Cooper, Knox, McEwen, Seal, Neven, Clibbins. With that small mistake for him is going to be causing him 7th place. Gulliford is going to win the Pro-Am class ahead of Douglas Stewart, and Michael Lees Andrew is going to win the amateur class.
Everybody wraps up here for race number 2. A few more cars to cross. Julian Schroer, then Paul Duncan, Duncan Cope, Craig Schill now across the line. Glenn Humberstone will be next. Fiona Siddons, Adam Mitchinson. Alistair Hatcher will be your last car on the lead lap. And it looks like just 25 cars will be eligible here for the invert. Going as far back as Mark Oliver and Liam Silkstone, who will finish this race 1 lap down apiece. And Liam, I think, is just about to finish this race up. Where is he at? There he is. This is in the forest section. Into Sterling's now, so he'll be the final car to wrap up this race. And we'll see if he's able to go ahead and grab a spot here as well, potentially over Mark Oliver. He's going to have some fun.
Yes, rallycross. I guess that's part of the rallycross section of Brands Hatch. And, well, the Mazda Miata isn't the greatest car, but I guess it works as well.
He does grab that spot over Mark Oliver, actually, who was in the pit lane. So Silkstone will finish in the 24th position, which means we've got a chance to go ahead and bring up the spinny wheel once more. Let's go ahead and give it a spin and find our next invert.
Last time around it was 15. This time, not going to be a fold. Might just be 11 or 17. 17.
Very close to 15 that we saw in race 1. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to put Paul Duncan on pole for race number 3. And it's going to split Paul Duncan and Duncan Cope, who finished just 2.5 tenths apart, or thereabouts, 2 3/4 tenths, if you will. Boy, this will be an interesting run back for race number 2. Let's go ahead and take a look at our race results.
So Adam Dalmont took that race victory ahead of his teammate Tom Griffiths in second place. Jason Cooper managed to finish once again in third place ahead of Chris Knox with a fantastic comeback race. 13 spots in one race, absolutely amazing. Andy McEwen is going to be finishing off in 5th place. Michael Sealing 6th. James Neven 7 ahead of Nick Clibbins. Jamie Gulliford is going to be winning the Pro-Am class ahead of Douglas Stewart, is going to be finishing 2nd in the Pro-Am.
Finishing 11th, you'll find Michael Lees, who wins in amateur. James Sharp 12th. James Clark 13th. Then it's Roger Morton 2nd in amateur, but finishes 14th overall. And Thortilla there wrapping up your top 15. Your front row for race number 3, that's going to be Julian Schroer in the 578 and Paul Duncan on pole in the 529. Both Pro-Am drivers, I think, with a great opportunity for either one of them to win, not only in Pro-Am, but very, very possibly in overall competition as well. It's Duncan Cope 18th, Craig Schill 19th, and Glenn Humberstone wrapping up your top 20.
In 21st place, we'll go the way of Fiona Siddons, ahead of Adam Minchinson. Alistair Hatcher in 23rd place, ahead of Liam Silkstone. Mark Oliver in 25th, Colin Sansom in 26th, Nathan Davies in 27th. In 28th place, we'll go the way of Kevin McGlone. And, well, Andrew, yet again, a few casualties. Looks like 2 drivers 8 laps down, 1 6 laps down, and Mark Oliver 2 laps down. So,
and that means that Mark Oliver is not eligible for the invert. Well, wouldn't have been if we had gotten the full invert.
If it was full, yes.
Yeah. So that's why you've got to race to the end. You've got to make sure you finish on that 1 lap down kind of cutoff. So obviously it doesn't impact him this time, but maybe next time a little more reason to just keep racing and not lose that 2nd lap. That is race number 2. Are there any drivers waiting to talk to us? Yes. Yes, there is. The one, the only, Roger Morton. And Roger, we're not too far removed from a rough weekend at Bathurst, but it's been a much better race day so far for you at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, it's nice to get a bit of track time this time.
I can only imagine. It's a lot nicer, I think, to make it more than 6 laps, right? It seems like we all only made it about 6 laps before we had trouble.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, tonight's been good. Had a nice hand win first race and second in that one. So, fortunately, got a bit of a tussle. Then I ended up driving off in that 2nd race, but managed to keep the car going and had a nice little battle through to get to I think 14th in end, something like that.
And so obviously, the track is completely different as far as how you string corners together once you leave Surtees, right? It's that forest section, if you will, it adds a whole lot. How does that change how you guys approach these races? It seems like we're not getting that 2-3 wide all race. It's a lot more strung out, a lot more drafting in a line, a lot more like potentially Bathurst.
I don't know really. It's quite. With MX-5s, they get a bit twitchy coming out of corners, so it's just matter of getting a good exit really. It's hard to get a good exit unless you know what you're doing, and I don't really know what I'm doing.
I would be right there with you. I would be right there with you, not knowing what I'm doing, so no worries. How do you attack these next 2 races then? I mean, you've looked fantastic in amateur. You won the 1st race in class, 2nd here in race number 2. How do you attack race number 3?
Pretty much same really, just stall out and go for it and trying to keep it clean, because to be fair, I'm not really in any championship position, so I don't want to be taking anybody out and ruining everybody else's race. But yeah, I think I might get back into this for next season for sure.
And is there any
Enjoying
kind of
it.
is there any kind of like recon effort in this race, learning a little bit ahead of Thursday, even just getting into muscle memory of, you know, the longer course here at Brands Hatch?
Yeah, for sure. Brands is quite a tricky track, so it gives you that sort of insight. I love Brands anyway, so I couldn't not refuse it. I had to come and play, so yeah, it was an easy choice for me really to come out and have a go. The only difference is they're quite a different car really, completely, the TCRs to the Mazdas. So it's hard to sort of get a comparison really into Thursday's race, but it's just track knowledge more. Just helps with track knowledge, I suppose.
There you go. Roger Morton with a big opportunity, I think, to learn at least a little bit. Get re-familiarized with the course a little bit ahead of Thursday, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you do in the BSR TC Amateur Championship. Roger, we'll let you go here between races. Best of luck to you, and congratulations on a pretty good day so far.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
And that is Roger Morton in car number 992 for Result Clothing, and it looks like their Safeguard brand aboard that 992 today. We are going to take a step aside as per usual. We thank you for watching so far, and we hope you continue to do so for the remainder of the afternoon with BSR MX-5 action from Brands Hatch. More is on the way. Races 3 and 4 up next.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Brands Hatch circuit. It is not so sunny anymore. It was pretty sunny in race 1. It looked great. But we're back to this dreary kind of, what's the word? Apocalyptic weather almost. With the dark clouds overhead, the red sunset out behind the track, and of course the little bit of blue peeking through up top in the sky. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting sight for race number 3, and it's already pretty dark. Headlights are already on. JP, this is going to be a fun one.
Oh, definitely is going to be a fun one. Now with the headlights on, it's a new challenge for them. It's obviously going to be a great sight for us. And I cannot wait. It was 17, the number of drivers that were inverted. So a new challenge. We saw a few familiar names at the end of race 2 up on the top of the standings. So this is going to be even more interesting.
Let's go ahead and get a look at your starting grid for race number 3, or at least the cars that were inverted. Let's go on through on them. Starting on pole, Paul Donkin will lead us to the green. Starting second, you will find Julian Schroer, a couple of Pro-Ams there. Starting third, it's a Pro in Thor Tullo. How about that for the Area 52 Designs Simbox? number 44. Roger Morton will roll off from 4th. In 5th, you'll find James Clark. Starting 6th, that's James Sharp. So a James row number 3. Starting 7th, that's Michael Lease. Then 8th, Douglas Seward. And around out your top 10 for the grid here, it's Jamie Gulliford and Nick Clibbins.
11th place will go the way of number 7, James Neva. Alongside him, the number 57 of Michael Sealing, 12th place. 13th place will go the way of Andrew McEwen, the number 4. And Chris Knox, the number 23, in 14th place. 15th place will go the way of Jason Cooper. Tom Griffiths in 16th place. And the last driver to be inverted was the number 17 of Adam Delmont.
Ready to go for race number 3. Paul Donkin on pole. Julian Shore outside Paul, and green flag is out. Let's go racing. Multiple cars off early. Tom Griffiths, Chris Knox, both of them. They get back on. We've got crashing, though, in Druids. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, a lot of cars facing the wrong direction. We can see. Oh, look.
Wow.
It looks like no one is terminal, Andrew, but oh, maybe just one car. Oh, that was an interesting Druids corner. A lot of drivers facing the wrong direction, but looks like the rest of the field keeps pointing at the right direction as we head into Surtees.
Chris Knox, Thor Tullo, Alistair Hatcher, Kevin McGlone, Colin Sansom, some of those involved in Druids, as your leader is now Paul Donkin, and everybody else races on.
As you can see, Paul Donkin with an excellent lead already as we finish the back straightaway. As you can see, a few drivers are going side by side. We saw plenty of action side by side as we head into Hawthorne Bend. And looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 cars off. They all safely make it back to the tarmac and keep pointing. But Andrew, that's an interesting and hectic start. Oh, more cars running wide.
Liam Silkstone way out there. No, that was Michael Lease, actually.
Oh, can they save it? Looks like they could save it. And look at this train of cars we have in here, Andrew.
Wow. That is a lot of cars all lined up. Neve is off, gets back on. This is going to be a wild third race here. Paul Duncan will come through Clark Curve and wrap up lap number 1 from the race lead. A really, really solid start for him.
Yeah, really great start. Already nearly 1.5 seconds.
Nick Clibbins to the pit lane. He's already got a penalty, it looks like.
Oh, no. That's really early. Maybe
a big crash here at the back end of the lap. James Neve, one of them. Douglas Stewart, it looks like. Adam Delmont. So your most recent race winner is now involved in a big crash here right at the start. There's a look at his number 77. Clibbins is on the pit lane. Stewart is slow. What a hectic first lap. Look at James Neve just crawling to the line here trying to finish that first lap. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely crazy first lap. Looks like Paul Duncan keeps extending that gap already down up into nearly 1.7 seconds. You can see Clark in 3rd place, our pro leader in 3rd place ahead of Gulliford and Cooper. Now this is Gulliford actually ahead of Cooper, so they're going to be battling soon. Looks like Cooper made a lot of positions, so did Andy McEwen, Andrew. So a great start for them.
A lot of the field just crashed that first lap. Here's a couple of teammates going at it. Alistair Hatcher and Glenn Humberstone. Humberstone going to take the spot, it looks like, down Pilgrim's Drop and move into the 15th position now. Boy, that's one way to start this race, tell you what.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a crazy start. We had a few incidents in race number 1. Not a lot in race number 2, but race number 3 definitely kicked off with the wrong foot. As you can see, even more battles. The field kind of just spread itself out, didn't it, Andrew? A lot of scattered battles alongside. Oh, no. That is a damaged Mazda.
That is a lot of damage to the 513. He was just racing with his teammate Hatcher. Oh, that's going to be around, and oh my goodness.
And that's race number 3 done and dusted. 4 minutes in.
Well, for him anyways, yeah. Let's go back up front into the top 10. Jason Cooper with company from Gulliford and McEwen here as they work into Druids. McEwen going to go up the inside. Wow, Gulliford really missed the corner there. Allows the 4-car to take point, or at least take the position. Now you've got pros in 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but the top 2 are still locked down by Pro-Ams. There is a slight little battle starting, though. For 2nd place, Julian Schroer getting caught up by James Clark, potentially.
Yeah, Clark looks like he's finding his pace right now, settling within a comfortable pace for him. And look at the run he got out of Surtees. We might see a bit of a challenge as we head into Hawthorne Bend. As you can see, the number 20, will he look down the inside? Looks like he will. They're gonna go side by side. No, Shore closes the door, looks like quite aggressively, and may have caught Clark out of sight, but they keep pointing, well, they keep running in line, second and third place, and that's just allowing Andrew Cooper to just catch on lap after lap, corner after corner if they keep on battling.
Clark thought about it, stays back, will set himself up, it looks like, for Sterling's here, to try and maybe get a run after that 578 car. Paul Donkin's still leading. He's no stranger necessarily to overall victory lane. He's done it once before. Think back to Snetterton. But I think it would be accurate to say this would be a surprise for race number 3, the way things have gone today.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with 4th and 5th place being Cooper and McEwen. That would definitely be an upset, I guess you can say. And as you can see now, Clark finally makes his way past Schroer and could have the pace to, well, catch Donkin. Well, the gap is down to 2.7 seconds. So if he has breathing room and not a lot of pressure from Schroer behind, he could put in the laps to catch Dev number 529.
Let's ride on board with him here for a moment. We see the Andy McEwen fan club has turned up today. This is on board of James Clark as he chases down our race leader, Paul Donkin. He's closed in a little bit since the start-finish line, but loses some into Surtees. Does he gain that back out of the corner? Yes, he does. And on the straightaway, this is where these times are important, because in the corners it varies so much based on speed. You'll see him close here when Donkin gets into the corner, and then it widens back out once Clark is into the corner. It's on the straightaways where you really see the effect. He made up about maybe a half-tenth there and starts to lose it again. It's so tough to tell.
Yeah, it's so tough to tell, especially on a track like this where one corner just, well, it's just so important to get that corner right to lead itself into the other one. And corners like this, you can really make up and lose a lot of time just by inches on the apex, all that sort of stuff. So now the gap is up into 3 seconds, and now we have a small straightaway, as you can see. So maybe Clark Andrew is just stronger on the first sector. Maybe the first sector is just suiting his setup a little bit better and his driving style, and Donkin's just allowing, well, just clearing that gap a little bit on the second and third sector. So this is going to be an interesting challenge for the rest of the race. As you can see now, McEwen looks like trying to make his way past Julian Schroer. Can he do it just on turn 1? Yes, he can. Just outbrakes him, stays on the inside line, and essentially him and Cooper are just tagging along once
How about
Cooper gets
who
past.
just went purple, though? Jamie Gulliford behind these guys.
Yes, he's flying as well. So this is a really good pace from the number 5 and 99 as well.
So 8 minutes, coming up to 7.5 minutes to go in this race. McEwen and Cooper have gotten by Schroer. Excuse me, this will be a nice battle for second place in Pro-Am. How about your leader in amateur competition, though? That's Craig Schill back here in the 9th position. And look at 10th overall, JP. Fiona Siddons, not very far back of Craig Schill. This could easily be a class race win for Fiona, depending on how the rest of this goes. Roger Morton is in behind. 3 amateurs in a row.
Yeah, absolutely, and around 2 seconds separating them. So this is an interesting battle within that class, and for 9th place overall as well. So either way, it's a great result for all 3 drivers, but I'm pretty sure they all want to be where Craig Schill is in 9th place and leading their class.
That's through Hawthorne, now Westfield. Oh, Morton was very aggressive there at the apex, but comes out wide into the grass there. He hangs on to it. Doesn't lose much, but loses his gains, I suppose, if you will. Now clips the apex there. That was a good corner. That was a good turn 7. Turn 8, Sterling's looks pretty good as well. And honestly, we could have a nice little Roger Morton, Fiona Siddons battle here before too long.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Fiona might just be feeling the pressure a little bit and just missing a few of the apex, but that gap is just going to keep on shrinking and increasing. Maybe Roger Morton is battling Tom Griffiths. Looks like Tom is going to make his way past Roger, and that could work in his favor on the long term, Andrew, if he just allows the number 11 to go high, just allowing the number 11, who has maybe a stronger race pace on this race, number 3, to go on by, and maybe battle Fiona Siddons to allow that gap to close in. This could be really, really helpful for him.
So we'll see how this all sorts out. Further ahead, we're starting to get into some pretty close battling with Cooper and McEwen, and they are both catching James Clark, who is holding steady to Paul Donkin, has lost a little bit, a few tenths maybe. This is going to get good. McEwen looks right. Now he looks left. Cooper covering up for Hawthorne.
This is just like race number 1. They're going to go side by side. Will they make a little bit of contact? No, not at all. As you can see, it's really close. They cannot even put a hair between them. As you can see now, McEwen kind of backs off, trying to get a better run to maybe sneak himself on the inside of turn number 7. Not quite. Still in line. Cooper soaking in all that pressure. And this battle, Andrew, is not allowing them to close a lot into James Clark, and definitely not bringing that gap to Paul Duncan down.
Yeah, it's not going to help them catch Paul Donkin, but realistically, they don't have to worry about the 529, right? They're looking for a class win. Sure, an overall win helps, but sometimes that's not possible when you're a pro. Every once in a while, you'll have that, right? So if Paul Donkin goes out there and escapes, he gets a race win, that's fine. They are racing up to James Clark in class. That's what they've got to worry about, and certainly between these two, if you're Andy McEwen, you know Jason Cooper is going to be fast. You know Jason Cooper is the best in the field. If you can just keep him from getting a race win, you're doing a job.
Yeah, absolutely. But this battle is just going to keep on going for a long, long time. The question is, Andrew, can McEwen just pass Cooper before Cooper mounts a challenge into Clark, or will he use the challenge that Cooper maybe will mount on James Clark to allow him to get a better run out of some corner and just get a better run and just allow himself to pass 2 cars? This could be a really, really interesting story to watch on. As you can see, even maybe sneaking down the inside into Surtees. This is going to be very, very interesting.
We'll flash back for a moment to your amateur battle with Craig Schill leading. He now drops into 10th overall as Griffiths has gone on by. Fiona Siddons there in 11th. That is 2nd in class. And Roger Morton is 12th overall, but 3rd in class. The next amateur driver behind these bunch is Michael Lees back in 15th, and just now out of Surtees battling pretty heavily there with another driver. As there we go, McEwen lost a spot.
Yeah, McEwen lost his spot, so that's going to hurt him a little bit. Julian Schroer doing absolutely, well, what he needs to do, just race, and, well, found a spot, found a gap, went for it, and got that position. So McEwen now needs to worry about passing him back again to try and close that gap to Jason Cooper. And I'm interested in seeing, Andrew, was there maybe a little bit of contact between those two that allowed Schroer to get by?
Let's go back and get a better look at it here. This is not going to help us too much. That was see, let's find out what happens here between Schroer and McEwen. And it looks like McEwen's going to run just a little bit wide, as now Cooper has brought the fight to Clark. This is the replay, though, and we'll catch up on the rest in just a moment, as McEwen actually live has gone back by Julian Schroer. So that's good news for car number 4 fans. Side by side with Jason Cooper to Hawthorne. And Andy a little bit wide. Oh, it's a replay of race 1 where there's that little bit of contact. It wasn't quite as bad, though. It didn't look that time like Cooper kind of came over and forced him over and, hip checked him. That time it just looked like Andy maybe was trying to hang there, and they really met in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Andy just turned it a little bit too early and just made contact with the car. So unfortunately for him, he lost a bit of the gap, and Jason Cooper managed to pass James Clark. So he's up into 2nd place, and with 2 minutes and 30 to go, Andrew, that gap is 3.1 seconds. Could we see a battle for the lead on this final 2-3 laps?
No, it's going to take a really big mistake out of Paul Donkin to lose this race now. As we work lap number 8. We'll get 2 to go, though, so long as he makes it to the line in time. But he's going to have bigger mistakes than that. It's going to have to be big for him to lose this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe just going a little bit too wide in one of these sections, definitely going to cost him. So at this point, Andrew, is just like NASCAR. Just keep hitting your marks, and, well, you're going to be set.
2 laps to go this time by. So there's certainly still room for error. There's still a margin. He's still got to execute these last 2 laps, but he's got such a big cushion. It's going to be tough to make up 3 seconds if you're Jason Cooper. And making up that distance is one thing. Passing him is another. It's going to be difficult, as we will get 2 more laps here. Some battling further back. Gulliford and Schroer side by side. That's going to bring Seal into the fight.
Yeah, Gulliford went down the inside of turn 1. That's going to allow even Seal, as you mentioned, go by. So Schroer losing 2 spots now, back down into 7th, but looks like that battle is definitely not done. Schroer trying to go on the outside of the number 57 into Drew Woods. He's going to have to concede that position for the time being, or will he mount a challenge into turn number 3? No, falling back in line. So now Gulliford from Michael Seal to Julian Schroer, and that's allowing James Sharp to bring back himself into this fight, which essentially, Andrew, it's a fight for the top 5.
Oh, Michael Seal completely messes up Surtees there, loses a couple of spots, and thankfully gets back on. I did just notice a change of position further back in the field. James Neve and Colin Sansom. I believe Neve has just gone by Sansom, and will now be able to battle with Alistair Hatcher. These guys racing for 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th if you count Douglas Stewart back here in that last, you can see just behind him, in that last position of this bunch. Kevin McGlone is still on the lead lap. He is 21st. Nick Clibbins also on the lead lap in 22nd. And it looks like he is the final car on this lead lap as James Neve actually brings the fight to Alistair Hatcher, trying to go on around the outside. Out of Clark, or actually into Clark it looks like, for Paul Donkin for the next to final time in race number 3. It's gotten pretty dark here at Brands Hatch, but the future is bright for car 529.
And just one more lap, just one final time around these corners for race number 3. The gap is down to 1.9 seconds, so he has the cushion, as you mentioned. Andrew just has to keep it on the racetrack, and the victory, the overall victory, will be his for the second time this season.
Yeah, one back at Snetterton. Here's a look at it. It is competition right now. Trying to catch him, trying to reel him in. Still 2 seconds to go for Jason Cooper. Andy McEwen is solidified into a nice little pocket there in 4th. Your Pro-Am race, well, remember that's Paul Donkin. He's well out front. Your next Pro-Am driver is Jamie Gulliford. Julian Schroer has fallen back with James Sharp in between those guys. There's a look at Gulliford. So this is going to be a much less active finish for this race, it looks like. Is Seal going to do battle with Schroer? And Craig Schill is still leading an amateur. Fiona Siddons has fallen well off. In fact, she's had a crash that last lap and has gone 1 lap down. This could be fun. Michael Seal making a pass on Julian Schroer.
Yeah, just cleared him already into Hawthorne Hill. As you can see, the straightaway, the 57 just cuts back in front of the number 578 and gets that position. Now cut back to Paul Donkin. The gap is down to 1.3, so Cooper is definitely pushing, and Donkin maybe just taking a little bit easier on the final lap. But as he rounds himself out of turn number 7 into Sterling's Bend, just 2 more corners to go. Just now 1 small straightaway and 1 corner. And then Andrew, he's going to be a 2-time winner.
Red Bull gives you wings, and he's been flying in those races. He's going to have just enough here. 1 second gap still into Clark. And out of Clark, he keeps it on the racetrack. That's all he had to do. It is an overall race win once again for Paul Donkin. Win 2 on the season. He chucks the car into a slide and comes across and wins.
What a race for him. Just controlled the pace from start to finish. Cooper finished in 2nd, Clark in 3rd, McEwen in 4th, Gulliford in 5th. Craig Schill is going to be winning the amateur class in 10th place, just ahead, looks like, of Roger Morton. So a great result for him as well. Oh, it looks like the race is not done just now. Yeah, they crossed the line, so that's going to be the positions done. And interesting race number 3, isn't it, Andrew?
That was something for sure. And that's actually really interesting. It was race 3 at Snetterton that Paul Donkin won as well. So it looks like race 3 at Snetterton and Brands Hatch both going the way for him. I like those weird little stats, those weird little nuggets, if you will. Gets another race win. Schill hangs on for amateur competition just over Roger Morton by 3/10. And a few more cars come across. Colin Sansom, one of them, as Colin will go 20th, it looks like, here in race number 3. So race number 3 in the books. Each car has finished. Well, let's go ahead and bring up ye old spinny wheel and give it a spin for the final time today. We had 15, we had 17. Is it going to be 17 again, or is it going to stay on 11? It's going to stay on 11. Very quiet inverts, I feel like, today. Nothing too crazy, very reserved numbers, and this is a smaller one for the final race.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the 3 inverts in sequence, 15, 17, and 11. So quite a short one, but, well, it's going to be fun. Either way, Paul Donkin is going to be starting from 11th place because he won race number 3 ahead of Jason Cooper. James Clark finishes in 3rd place ahead of Henry McEwen. Jamie Gulliford in 5th place overall, 2nd place in the Pro-Am class. James Sharp in 6th place ahead of Michael Seal. Julian Schroer is going to be running off the podium for the Pro-Am class in 8th. Tom Griffith is going to finish up in 9th, and the amateur winner will go the way of Craig Schill in the 10th place.
Finishing 11th, and now starting on pole, you will find Roger Morton. So it'll be a front row of a couple of amateurs, Roger Morton and Craig Schill, for race number 4. Adam Delmont just misses out by less than a 10th. 52 one-thousandths of a second. Man, with the way these races go, at least we haven't seen a massive crash into Druids again. And hang on. I will knock on wood for that one. I don't want to jinx the field or anything, but we haven't seen the massive Druids crash yet. We've seen a Druids crash, just not like we saw for Brands Indy. So, I mean, I don't know. Anything is still possible. Obviously, Adam Delmont can drive back through this field with the help of a crash or two, but it's going to be tough if you're not starting up front. Liam Silkstone will start from 13th because he just finished 13th, with Michael Leese in 14th, Thoratolos 15th. Then you find James Neve, Douglas Stewart, Alistair Hatcher, Kevin McGlone, and Colin Sansom to round out your top 20 here in race 3.
21st place will go the way of Nick Clibbins, 54 seconds down. Mark Oliver unfortunately finishes a lap down, 22nd. Fiona Citizen, 23rd place. Something happened on the final 2 laps of the race, saw her dropping all the way down into 23rd. 24th place will go the way of Adam Mitchinson, Glenn Humberstone in 25th, and Chris Knox, Andrew, 26th place, 10 laps down. Unfortunately for him, not the race 3 that he expected.
Yeah, I don't think that was the race 3 that anybody expected. Certainly, with Paul Donkin taking the win, that's huge for a Pro-Am driver to grab another race win. Yeah, that was a wild one. We have a pretty wild driver to talk to as well. She's had quite a day already. Fiona Siddons, who did not have the greatest finish, is standing by.
So Fiona, I mean, who better than you to tell us what happened on the final few laps of race number 3?
I was going for it. It was Amwin on the cards, my first top 10, and I was pushing as hard as I could and just clipped a bit too much grass on the entry of the corner and the back end went out.
Oh, that's really unfortunate, but battling for the win, I guess absolutely no regrets in that mistake if you're going for it.
No regrets at all. Possibly if it had been for P2, P3 in class, I'd have sat behind Craig and took the points. But yeah, if you don't go for it, you're not racing, are you?
Yes, absolutely. And for race number 4, what's going to be the plan? Obviously not eligible for the invert, but still going to gun for it on race number 4?
Yeah, definitely push for it. After 2 non-finishes and a finish, I've got nothing to lose in race 4, so just try and get it to the flag and get a good result.
And overall, without counting the finishes, and I guess you can say the bad luck, how are you liking Brands Hatch on the MX-5?
Oh, I'm loving Brands. It's a lovely track for the MX-5.
Well, absolutely. And Bathurst, do you have any expectations for it? Is it going to be harder, easier than this? What should we expect from Fiona next week?
I don't know. It didn't go well last time we raced on Bathurst. Across the top of the hill, I'd just lose too much time on people.
Well, but we're definitely going to take a look. But, well, that's only next week. Right now, you need to focus on race number 4, and that's exactly what I'm going to let you do. But before I let you go, who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out?
Just give shout out to the team. Give a shout out to Roger as well. He's offered me a drive in the result team next season, so we'll see where that goes.
Oh, interesting moves for teams on the off season. We're definitely going to keep an eye out for that. But with that being said, I'm going to let you focus for race number 4, and hopefully we can talk to you then.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Andrew, that was Fiona Siddons. Unfortunately, not the greatest of rounds for her, but still looking confident for race number 4, and that's exactly what we like to see.
Yeah, definitely was not a great way to finish this race. We'll actually be able to see it here, and it's right there. Yeah, just gets the wall out of exit. Well, got the grass, as she mentioned, out of exit and overcorrect. Well, the car takes off at that point, gets into the grass, and yeah, not how you want to wrap up a race by any stretch of the imagination there for Fiona Siddons. And that was coming to white flag, it looks like. So rub some salt in the wound there, unfortunately, for Fiona Siddons. That is not how she wanted that one to wrap up, but she's got another chance to turn things around for race number 4. Let's go ahead and take a step aside and one more intermission break here at Pit Stop TV before race number 4 and the back end of the day, post-race coverage afterwards as well. So a lot of reason to stick around. One more race to go at Brands Hatch. Let's go after it one more time. It's back to the virtual Brands Hatch circuit. It's been a fun day of racing, I'd say, JP. Certainly, I think meeting and exceeding our expectations thus far. We never really know exactly what to expect with BSR, be it, Trophy Tuesday MX-5 racing that we've had today, or TC racing that we have on Thursdays. But we never really know exactly what to expect. We just know it's going to be good, and it's been even better than good today.
Absolutely, I think you nailed it to the point. We always expected it to be good racing, but we end up having an absolutely amazing time each and every single race for forever, since the race number 1 all the way back in January and December, actually, on the final few days. It has just been a blast. And well, race number 4 in Brands Hatch, I cannot wait. I'm pretty sure the drivers are holding into something special for us on this final 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here, the fourth race of the day. Obviously, these guys always get 4 15-minute races, and it always plays big time into the points. And a whole lot has changed already. And we've had 3 very different race winners in Andy McEwen, Adam Delmont, and Paul Donkin. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see another wild card here for race 4.
Oh, absolutely not. We have so many names that are in contention for the race victory, and it's just going to be interesting to see if we're going to get 4 different race winners in 4 rounds. It's just going to be fun, but we're only going to have that answer, Andrew, in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it is that time. I thought about that time. It's no more build-up. It is here, the final race of the day. Let's go ahead and go through your 11 cars getting inverted here. It's Roger Morton now on pole, Craig Schill starting second. Starting third, you'll find Tom Griffith, then Julian Schroer. Fifth, you'll find Michael Seal. James Sharp will start from sixth. Starting seventh, it's Jamie Delaford. Andy McEwen in ninth. Starting in eighth. Starting ninth, you will find, it looks like the 20 car there of James Clark. Jason Cooper starting from 10th. And your previous race winner, Paul Donkin, will roll off from 11th. That is your bunch of cars getting inverted. Green flag is out now in race 4. A big mass of cars down Paddock Hill Bend. One in the dirt. He saves it, maybe. No, a massive hit. Oh my goodness. I think that was Michael Lees. Massive accident.
Yes, did he just take out 1 car?
I don't know. We'll see if maybe we can get a look back at it. McEwen is slowed on the Cooper straight. That's going to bottleneck things up.
Yeah, he's just going to lose 2 positions, maybe even 3. As you can see, Paul Donkin trying to go around his outside.
Roger Morton just spun from the lead.
Oh, no. On the exit of Surtees, he's going to have to wait for the whole grid to go by him.
Tom Griffith's going to take over. Craig Schill racing side by side down to Hawthorne. Seal up the inside. Schroer's there.
What a crazy lap. 1 halfway there, as you can see, a lot. Oh, even more cars going on. You can see a car making contact with the Armco barrier on the exit of turn number 6. Not quite sure who that was. As you can see, even a few drivers battling for the 3rd place. Still yet a lot to be decided on lap number 1, Andrew. But
James
wow,
Neve.
even more.
Nick Clibbins, Chris Knox, broadside across the racetrack. Another car off. That's Craig Schill in the dirt.
I have no words.
This has been wild.
It has been absolutely wild. This might be the craziest lap 1 we've had so far in the season, I'd say.
Well, lap 1 wrapped up, but I don't think it's worse than Brands Indy earlier on in the season when we had that massive crash in Druids. I mean, that was another crash in Druids, yes, but that was child's play compared to what we saw earlier on. And oh my goodness, Craig Schill officially spins around here. The orange 88 Tech car having serious issues here at the start of race 4.
Oh, that is just so unfortunate. He was running 7th place even after his mistake, so unfortunately for him, he's going to be dropping all the way down into 21st. Looks like no!
You know what we haven't looked at yet today? The weather. It's pretty chilly. Tire temps, what are they? Cold tires? Yes.
Yes, it's just incredible to see so many drivers spinning. We haven't seen that so far today, and as you can see, now we're going to have a battle for the lead. Can Michael still look down the inside into Hawthorne's Bend? Not quite. So the lead remains with Tom Griffiths, but he's being closely followed by Michael Zill, and Jason Cooper somehow, Andrew, is already up into 3rd place.
It's crazy the way he does it. Now, it's a smaller invert for this race, so that helps him, but yeah. That one car, I don't understand how he does it, but he does. I don't think anybody in this series understands how he does it aside from him.
Yeah, we definitely don't understand. Somehow he finds himself in third, already less than a second behind the lead. Even more battling. The number 77 goes down the inside of James Sharp, who's going to be losing even another position, maybe to Liam Silkstone. They both make a little bit of contact. And we're going 3 wide, Andrew, into the final corner. Paul Donkey gets contact. He goes into the 2 wheels, jumping. But looks like he's just going to be able to save the car. We're seeing some headlights, and yes, he goes out slowly, but saves it. Wow.
Boy, yeah, these guys are testing us so far in this race. Michael Seal now second place, well, still second place, trying to hang on to a podium spot. Oh, and he gets into Tom Griffiths, you're kidding me, what is this race?
This is absolutely insane.
I feel bad for the stewards, this is going to be tough to work through.
Oh, this is going to take the whole week. This might be decided mid-race on Bathurst.
You know, maybe. The steward stream later this week is certainly going to be a long one, as we've now got a battle between Tom Griffiths and James Sharp into Surtees. Colin Sansom is slow.
Oh no, that's on the exit of Graham Hill Bend,
Yes,
just on the Cooper Straight. Oh, unfortunately. Oh, and even one more car going really wide. Wow.
That was McGlone. Here we go, change for the lead. Jason Cooper's going to take over. Got a big draft into Hawthorne and goes up the inside of Michael Seal. 6 cars in a line, 1st through 6th. That's Cooper, Seal, Gulliford, Schroer, McEwen, and Delmont.
Cooper didn't need a second invitation to go down the inside and take that race lead, so he just does it. Already 4/10 of a second clear of Michael Seal. Gulliford still in 3rd place, as you can see now. The number 77 goes wide and it saves it. I'm pretty sure his heart was beating a little bit faster on the exit of turn number 7. Somehow saves it, chasing Andy McEwen, who's in 5th place. Oh, wow, Andrew.
This will be one for the highlight reels.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a 15-minute highlight reel. It's just going to be race number 4.
Fair enough. If anybody knows why these guys are racing so crazily in this race, yeah, let us know. This has been insane. Jamie Gulliford leading in Pro-Am as they come back over Paddock Hill. Schroer second. Oh, and Schroer is hanging it way out there, dirt tracking.
Yeah, he goes offensive into Drew. He knows the number 4 is there. He goes a little bit wide on the exit. That's going to allow McEwen to go side by side with him as they head into turn number 3. Looks like they're going to be holding position, but McEwen, having the racing line, is going to get a way better exit. As you can see, already going side by side into the Cooper Straight. He's going to have the inside into Surtees. He's going to outbrake. Yes, there we go. Can he get the car slowed down? Looks like he can. He missed a little bit at the apex, so he's going to be losing a lot on the exit, and that might just help even Adam Delmont to get past him.
Schroer still alongside, but only just. And now falls in behind McEwen. Looks to the inside, thinks better of it. Well, maybe go to the inside. Nope. Not a wide enough door opening there. And the one thing McEwen has to keep in mind, Andy's got to keep in mind that, you know, the car ahead and the car behind are for position with themselves. And he's splitting up that battle for a Pro-Am race win. He's got to be careful racing these two. I think that's one thing a lot of pro drivers sometimes forget, just because they're not used to that kind of thing. They're always racing everybody else, right? Well, you know, there are other battles. Keep in mind, as one car was off, was that Silkstone? Yes, it was. Electric. This race has been electric.
Absolutely. As you can see now, even a few of those drivers looks like just outside the top 15, only 14, 15. As you can see now, Fiona Siddons in 15th place, just trying to hold on for that position. You can see a few drivers battling just behind her. They're going to go too wide as we head into Clark. That's James Neve and Hatcher, looks like, as they're going to go side by side. Looks like Neve gets the position for the time being and sticks with it. So, oh, wow. Are we ever going to catch our breath, Andrew, on the race number 4?
You know, for other reasons, I've not been able to at all today, but no. The answer is no. Yeah, this has been pretty wild. Let's go back up front. Let's see how things are going up here. Jamie Gulliford still 3rd. Seal still 2nd. Gotta wonder, is Seal going to have what it takes to get up there and challenge Jason Cooper for the win?
Yeah, the gap is stabilized around 0.6 of a second. As you can see, different line being taken into Surtees. Cooper with a way wider line to get a better exit. As you can see, the gap is just increasing millisecond by millisecond, and Seal with a much tighter apex. So the gap is going to stabilize around 7.6 of a second. So it's just a question, can he nail a few of those apexes? Hopefully, hopefully for him, Cooper will miss some of those apexes and go wide, but for the time being, it looks like the number 1 has it under control.
Oh, Jason's a little wide. keeps it on that that extra runoff, that AstroTurf, as James Sharp and Liam Silkstone are going to do battle. Let's check in on that. Sharp on the left side. All drivers left anyways. That's Silkstone then on the inside for these corners. Dingle Dell there, still side by side. My goodness.
That's crazy. I'm not quite sure how they do it side by side. The number 33 will have the inside line into Sterling Benz, but they still stick it side by side. Now Silkstone will have the advantage as we head into Clark Curve. As you can see, even Paul Donkin following on the inside line. The number 33 goes really wide. Might just lose a little bit on entry to Paul Donkin, but on the exit, he might just have the lags. Not quite sure. Looks like Paul Donkin might help out his fellow Pro-Am competitor. Maybe just give him a little bit of a push. But he's going to go straight down the inside into turn 1. Not close enough. So Silkstone still in 8th place ahead of him. And oh, Sharp going really wide.
Wow.
Can he save it? Yes.
And just ahead of these guys as they come around turn number 1, there was a change for position up here where Schroer finally lost a spot to Adam Delmont. He was hanging on to a top 5 for a long time, and only just now is Race 2's winner able to go on by that 578. So I think a big story of today certainly has to be the fight that the Pro-Am drivers have put on. They have been excellent all day long, every single race. And it's going to go down here to the final 6 minutes in race number 4, the final 6 minutes of a total of 60 today. As here we go. McEwen goes around Gulliford. Again, another really good fight put on by a Pro-Am driver, but eventually these pros rise to the top.
Yes, that extra pace, that extra just race pace itself just helps them to excel on any track. But really good job by Gulliford trying to defend and not losing a lot of time injured. That's going to be really important for him. Just allow the number 4 to get on by on his outside, just held off the inside line, didn't lose a lot of time. Now he has Adam Delmont, so he has maybe to let Delmont pass without losing a lot of time because Schroer is really close as well.
On to lap, well, we'll be coming on to lap 7 here in just a moment of 10, which means 4 laps to go for these guys, and it's still a 6-car train. Let's go on board with Schroer back here, who is now at the back of it for Team Gonzo Racing. He's got 2.7 seconds back to Tom Griffiths, and it's 6 more seconds back to James Sharp. So these guys are safe up here, I'd say. Certainly in the top 6 unless they crash. In fact, Liam Silkstone going after it with James Sharp. Look at this battle. 3 wide to turn 1. Donkin around the outside. A couple of Pro-Ams. They're going to make contact. A couple of Pro-Ams just split. James Sharp made contact. How about the save out of Donkin?
Absolutely amazing. This is the second time this race he has been on 2 wheels, isn't it?
And he about drove right back up to Liam Silkstone there. I wouldn't be surprised if he gives him a piece of his mind in Discord chat after this one, as it's a battle up front with McEwen and Seal. This is big. McEwen's been the only driver to bring a challenge to Jason Cooper, and Andy just gets in front of Seal there. Michael Seal going to look to the inside for Hawthorne. He's challenging. He's trying. He's looking for a gap. He's got one now. Oh, and he can't quite get to the inside of that 4-car. McEwen going to pull away with second. Gets a little bit squirrely, a little bit sideways. Squiggly wiggly, as Joe Donahue would say. Through Westfield, and he's still got the spot.
Looks like he's going to hold off. Michael Seal cannot really respond on this sector of the racetrack. And as you mentioned, McEwen was one of the few drivers, maybe the only one who could bring up the pace to Jason Cooper. So with 3 minutes and 40 to go, the gap is 1.4 seconds. He only has to focus on that number 1 car just ahead of him. The gap brings down. Oh no, Michael Seal's going to be spinning off on the final few corners of the lap. He just threw away an overall podium position, and that's going to allow Gulliford to rise to the 3rd place. And if he can hold off Delmont, looks like he won't be able to, as Delmont just got past him on the main straightaway. But now, Andrew, we're going to have a top 3 full of pro drivers, and 4th and 5th, they're going to battle for the overall Pro-Am victory.
I know I said it wasn't much of a draft race, but these 2 guys, the Pro-Ams here, fighting with Delmont might prove me wrong, certainly. They're going to go after it, I think. The way Gulliford's raced and the way he's tried to hang on to these spots in that Ben Sharp Racing 599, this could get fun. Sharp, Seal, Silkstone, Donkin doing battle. 3 wide again, right behind Michael Seal.
How they keep on doing this lap after lap in different corners. You can see now the number 33 gets ahead. Silkstone follows him. Donkin has to back off a little bit. Now you can see on board with Silkstone. Now on board with Paul Donkin. As you can see, just heading into Surtees. Michael Seal going really defensive. Sharp might just have a better exit. Paul Donkin really riding that curb on Surtees. Now Silkstone got a really good run. As you can see, Sharp now pushing Michael Seal. Silkstone's going to be pushing on Sharp. Paul Donkin coming in like a missile. They're going to contact it. No!
Donkin and Silkstone crash. Donkin continues on for the most part. But that left front's very damaged, and Silkstone is just about done. That car has been crumpled up like a sheet of paper. Donkin, not looking so good either, actually. His car is definitely junk. He's now towing back to the pit lane. Seal continues on. Where do these guys sort out? Let's get a look at it here. He's racing with Thortullo now. This is for 8th. Thortullo's in the top 10 now. Good stuff out of car number 44. And unfortunately, that takes 2 really good Pro-Ams out of the top 10 overall.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just going to leave Gulliford and Shower on the top 10 for the Pro-Am drivers. And the next driver, well, Silkstone is on the pit, so the next Pro-Am's outside of the top 20. As you can see now, Thortullo bringing the challenge to Michael Seal on the outside of the main straightaway. Can he outbrake the number 57? Well, he clears him, so Michael Seal might have a little bit of damage as well, maybe a slowdown penalty. But Thortullo now moves himself into 8th place, so a really good final race for him. And I'm pretty sure he deserves this as well, Andrew.
Everybody deserves the positions they're getting today, I think. At least the positive stories anyways. This has been a wild, wild race. We haven't even talked about the amateurs yet, led currently by Adam Mitchinson, and he needs a race like this. He needs to get some points back. It's been a rough day for him so far, and his gap, his lead that he's had for a long, long time in this series has narrowed up a little bit. The only good news is that Fiona Siddons has had a pretty dismal day as well. So really, they've been caught up by Colin Sansom, who is now, I think, within range potentially. If Sansom is able to capitalize on this race, is he? It's not looking likely. Sansom is back in 19th overall, battling with Kevin McGlone. It's getting close to where maybe Mitchinson gives up this championship, but it's going to take a lot here in the last couple of races. The last 5 races now, including this one.
Yeah, absolutely. It would take a lot of bad luck and a lot of misfortune for him to lose out the championship. As you can see now, Colin Sampson battling side by side. This is Glenn Humberstone, if I'm not mistaken, but now Cooper. The gap is less than a second with 10 seconds to go. Looks like we're just going to have 1 extra lap. So if McEwen puts out the lap of the gods, Andrew, he might just close enough, but I don't think it's enough. It might just be too little too late.
Well, he's less than a second back, and it is the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams. That means that second back is the cutoff of the draft usually in cars and iRacing. That's usually the sweet spot. It varies a little bit per car and per speed, obviously, but you want to be within a second delta to the car ahead, and Andy is there. This is going to open up just enough of a window as James Sharp has got a problem. He has spun around in Druids, it looks like. Is that Druids? No, that's Paddock Hill Bend. It didn't even look spun out. He looked like he had a separate issue, but let's go back up front. Your race leaders, it's close.
It's very close, less than, as you mentioned, less than half a second. As you can see now, the slipstream working a treat. As you can see, that gap just shrinking and shrinking. So it's going to be around 0.7 of a second as they exit Hawthorne Bend. As you can see now, Cooper needs a mistake for Andrew to catch on. But looks like that might not happen, Andrew. We didn't see Jason Cooper making mistakes on his own throughout maybe the season. As you can see now, Andrew really aggressive on those curbs, nearly cutting those corners and getting a slowdown penalty. That gap shrinks down to 0.7 of a second, but I don't think it's enough.
It's going to be close, but it's not looking likely. Thur Sterlings and Jason Cooper is going to have very likely another race win. 0.6 into the final corners. Clark now for Cooper, and yes, Jason Cooper is going to exit the final corner in race number 4 with just 1 week to go and a big points lead to boot. It's another race win. Make it 10 now on the season for Cooper.
What an absolutely amazing drive for him, allowing himself just to create that gap and control the pace. McEwen's going to finish second ahead of Adam Delmon. Gulliford's going to win the Pro-Am Classic as a shower, and Mitchinson, Andrew, finds himself on the overall top 10. What a drive.
Really good win in the making for Mitchinson, but he's not finished just yet. He's the next car to come across, and here he goes across the line. He does get that amateur win and a top 10. Here comes 11th, James Clark. Liam Silkstone, 12th. 13th, Michael Seal. 14th will be Fiona Siddons. A good finish, all things considered, for Fiona. Roger Morton comes across 15th. Alistair Hatcher will finish 16th. Colin Sansom now comes across in 17th. And he'll be one of the final couple of cars to finish. Mark Oliver now the only car left, as it looks like 7 cars in this race will take a DNF. So a really, really big race for Jason Cooper. That's going to set the record straight in the points, big time. He already had a large gap with the drop weeks now being enabled, but it's only going to grow.
Oh, absolutely. And he's the 4th different winner on tonight's 4 races. So it came from he came on the last race. On the first race, he absolutely controlled the pace, got stolen away, and, well, just fought it back all races and finally did it.
We've not had 4 different race winners in a day of racing since Knock Hill. And I know that might, that wasn't all that long ago, but when you have 4 races a day and no repeats within the same day since all the way back at, or we haven't had that, rather, since all the way back at Knock Hill. That's just, I don't know, it's something interesting as Jason Cooper gets his race win. And he won 2 at Silverstone, he won 2 at Snetterton, and now only 1. But he's won each of these last few weeks. He's won every single week since he came in Brands Indy. Every single week he has won at least 1 race, and that's why he's in the position he's in.
Absolutely. He's just way too consistent, way too strong, very clean, knows how to defend. That's why he has so many wins. That's why he deserves it. And that's why he gets the race number 4 victory on the British Sim races ahead of Andrew McEwen, who did an impressive last lap charge to bring the gap down to 0.6 of a second. Adam Delman's going to be finished off in 3rd place. Jamie Guilford is going to win the Pro-Am class in 4th place, just 0.6 of a second ahead of Julian Schroer in 2nd place on the Pro-Am class, 5th place overall. Tom Griffith's going to be finished off in 6th place. Thor Tulo with an impressive 7th place ahead of James Neve in 8th. Nick Clibben is going to be finished off in 9th. And Adam Mitchelson is going to win the amateur class in 10th place.
Finishing 11th, you'll find James Clark in car 20, then Liam Silkstone in 12th. Michael Seal ends up 13th after his spin. Fiona Siddons 14th, just behind. Then you'll find Roger Morton. They're in 15th. So Fiona and Roger go 2nd and 3rd in class, of course, with Alistair Hatcher a 4th place finish here in class. Good day, good quiet day out of Hatcher. I think I look forward to seeing what that 88 tech machine can do. Colin Sansom finishes 17th, Kevin McGlone there in 18th, and Mark Oliver the final of the cars to finish as James Sharp takes, unfortunately, a pretty big L that last lap and does not complete the final lap here in race number 4.
Paul Donkin as well, unfortunately, did not finish after his contact on the back straightaway just outside of Surtees. Glenn Humberstone in 22nd place ahead of Michael Lees in 23rd. Douglas Stewart, Chris Knox, and Craig Schill as well. So 4 drivers, 10 laps down, Andrew. That was something in lap number 1.
That was definitely a wild race. We've got the Wild West, of course, here in the U.S., and this is, I think, maybe more wild every single week in this British Sim Racers Trophy Tuesday MX-5 series. Here's a look at what we've got. We've gone through 8 rounds now, JP. That is 32 races we've had so far. Donington Park, Brands Indy, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. We've had Daytona. We've had Knock Hill, Snetterton, Silverstone. Now Brands Hatch Grand Prix. We've got one more BSR TC round before we get to the final week at Mount Panorama and crown a champion. But for the MX-5s, the only thing we've got left is Bathurst.
And that's going to be a fantastic raceway. Obviously, the challenges of Bathurst might be the most difficult course we've had on the schedule, because absolutely no room for error. We saw a few drivers getting on the grass. Well, there's no grass on the mountains, just concrete barrier. Unfortunately, I knew from you actually that unfortunately you kissed a few of those concrete barriers on the 12 hours. So yeah. We all know how unforgiving they are, and well, it's just going to be a great challenge for these drivers, and it's going to be fantastic seeing them all on the mountain.
Let's go ahead and bring in one of our drivers out of this race that I think really made some waves today, and that is, of course, Andy McEwen that we were going to talk to earlier on. JP, he's headed your way.
So, Andy, I mean, what a drive. You got race number 1 victory. Kind of not the way I guess you expected to get it, but it was a wild and great day for you, wasn't it?
Do you know what? I think I experienced every emotion there is going tonight. I mean, that first race was epic, me and Jason fighting, and then I was so angry when I ended up on the grass, because I felt like he could have left me a bit more room, and I thought it was all over, and I was thinking I'm never going to win another race, and then they all just crashed in front of me. I couldn't have scripted it. It was amazing. And then yeah, every race after that, it's just been a really good fun night. It's been stressful, and I've had to really work for it, but yeah, really enjoyed it.
And what about the last race? I mean, we saw that gap coming down lap after you went into 2nd place. And I mean, what was that pace? Was that just qualifying pace from Andy McEwen?
I would love to tell you where that pace came from, but I haven't got a clue. Remember what I said to you last week? I hate Brands Hatch. I have never had speed at Brands Hatch, but something is going on this season. I don't know what it is. In fairness, the setup that I'm using, we did a 3-hour charity race at the end of last season on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, and I had a setup given to me by my the friend of mine, David Chapman, who I teamed up with in that race, and it was designed specifically for this track, and then I've just run that setup all season long, so I guess it makes sense that the car was quick here, but even with a quick car, I'm not normally that fast myself.
Well, I mean, if you don't really like Brands Hatch and you had this great result, I'm assuming you absolutely hate Bathurst, right?
It's the worst racetrack in the world. I don't know why everyone likes it so much. It's bizarre. Don't get it.
Yeah, there we go. So Andy McEwen's going to win yet another race in Bathurst, just like we called it last week. And, I mean, I guess, there's not really a lot to talk about. You were just so good tonight, and we just want to see more of that.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to be this quick every week, but the funny thing is, this is by far the best week that I've had all season. You know, I'm really, really happy with the results and the speed that I had and the racecraft and it all came together. And Jason still outscored me, and I bet he hasn't even broken a sweat doing it. The man's just a machine. I don't know how he does it. So, even when I have my very best day and he has a bit of an average day, he's still that bit quicker. But really, really pleased. And hey, if we've got nothing else to talk about, why don't we talk about our really successful Bathurst 12-hour adventure, Andrew?
Oh man. Well, the good news is the races next week are only as long as it took until you've been in the car the first time. So, it's within your window. But don't worry, I don't think I ran any more laps than you did before I've been it the first time myself. So I feel your pain there. But you know what? Let's talk about Bathurst. Obviously, very different from the car that we ran this past week. How do you feel about it?
Car actually likes going around corners, so I'm ready for it. I'm ready to go and drive that track. I mean, I do actually really like Bathurst. I probably shouldn't say this because I'm putting a curse on myself now for next week, but it is, what racing driver doesn't love Bathurst? And it's no secret that I probably needed more time in the GT3 car before we did the 12-hour, but this car, I've got so many miles under my belt in it, and I've gone well there in the past. So, I'm hoping that I can end the season on a high. Jason's gone now. He's not going to be caught, so I just want to concentrate on finishing second in the championship and staying away from those concrete walls because they hurt.
Yeah, we found that one out firsthand. They will ring your bell pretty good. Well, Andy, unless JP has anything for you, I think we'll let you get out of here. Really good day of racing. It was a lot of fun watching you go after it. Go off the track a couple of times, but you'll have that.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to try and beat Jason, I've got to try everything, right? So if I can't drive past him, then I might have to try and drive through him, drive over him, drive on the grass. I'm willing to try anything.
The NASCAR way, right?
Absolutely, passing the grass. I think there's time for one more pass in the grass this season. I'll see what I can do for you.
There you go, first and last weeks maybe. And JP, what do you got for him?
I just want to hear him saying that he really does hate Bathurst, so we can have this again next week.
It is an awful track. It needs to be destroyed. They need to build houses on it. It is a waste of real estate in a beautiful part of Australia.
See, there you go. So finale for next season is definitely going to be Interlagos because that's the world's best racetrack. And I know Andrew is beating himself because I need to mention Interlagos on each and every single season, but there we go.
Interlagos is a good track, and I didn't get to race there last season, actually. I had to miss that week. So, maybe it'll appear on next year's calendar.
Oh, see, there you go. I'm counting on it. But with that, Andrew, I'm going to let you focus on next week, and hopefully we can talk to you then.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Big shout out to Year One as well. I've had a message from Graham at Year One. I know a lot of them have been watching and cheering me on tonight. So, cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, the fan club was out in droves this evening. Buddy, congratulations on a pretty good day of racing. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys. See you next week. Bye-bye.
That is Andy McEwen finishing things up. Certainly do appreciate his time. And JP, that's it. That's a day of racing here at Brands Hatch, done and dusted. We can go ahead and take a look then at our upcoming broadcasts at Pit Stop TV. There's a fair share of them. And this week alone, we're bringing in the beginning of 2 new series. I say new series, new seasons of existing series. Well, one of them's new, actually. The North American Racing League Porsche Cup season begins tonight. Yes, tonight. I've heard Tony Kanaan is going to be in the field, among other names. So a lot of reason to tune in later this evening, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're wondering, that is 1:30 a.m. UK, I think. That sounds about right. So I know it's late for you guys on, across the Atlantic, but if any of you can tune in, we certainly urge you to do so. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of great racing. We have a short AM race. I want to say 30 minutes of racing, and then 50 minutes of Pro-Am racing. So it's a whole new situation for us. We're used to just 50 minutes straight through with GT3 cars. That's changing. We're getting this dual race format. So a little bit of what we see here in BSR, actually. So a bit interesting. I'm glad I made that intermission graphic for us, because we're going to need it later this evening in between races. So yeah, an amateur race, a Pro-Am race. It's going to be a lot of fun. Porsche Cup cars, somewhere around 90 to 100 drivers in total. It's going to be insane. Tomorrow night, we've got the Outlaws Sim Series season opener, NASCAR Next Gen Cars at Daytona. It's Daytona. It's a NASCAR series. What do you expect? It is going to be a ton of fun. If the Daytona 500 was any reason for promise, it's going to be some of the craziest racing we've ever seen on Pit Stop TV, at least on an oval, certainly. It's going to be great stuff tomorrow night. Emerson Arden will be there to take you all through it. And Thursday evening, JP, we're right back to it with BSRTC. One more round here at Brands Hatch. One more go around this, 2-point-something mile, 2.6 mile course. Touring cars here, that's going to be fun.
Oh, that's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to do this all over again. And, well, as you mentioned, tonight we're going to have the NRL Porsches around Hockenheim. Just sounds right. I guess the Porsche Cup car on any track in the world just sounds right. But obviously that's going to be later on today. To watch it, you obviously need to follow us on each and every single social media, let it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. On Facebook at facebook.com/pitstoptv. On Twitter at twitter.com/pitstoptv_. On Instagram at instagram.com/pit_stop_tv. And on youtube.com/pitstoptv1.
So that is a day of racing done here at Brands Hatch, which gives us a lot of hope, I think, for the next couple of weeks of racing. We've got really good stuff coming up. And certainly, I think a lot of reason to make sure to tune in and follow along with us here at Pit Stop TV. We send out updates every single day of what broadcasts we're going to have up next. And just about a half hour ago, the update for today's NARL race went out. So we've got those updates every single race day, every single broadcast day. We've got those going out. So it's a good way to keep up with us here at Pit Stop TV and see what we've got coming up next. That will do it for us this evening. I am winded. I tell you what, it has been a really good day of racing here at Brands Hatch, and I certainly have to thank each and every time we have these races. Got to thank BSR for having us along for the ride. It's been a lot of fun so far. For everybody here at Pit Stop TV, myself, Andrew Cardinale on the mic with JP Costa alongside today, and everybody else that makes things happen behind the scenes, Emerson Arden, Jay Cook, Ed Scherer, Trey Shuttlesworth, Trey Patton, Zach Lindgren, and you know what? I would be remiss to leave today without saying happy birthday to one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Zach Lindgren, who subbed in just last week. So you BSR guys, you know him. You know him now a little bit. Zach Lindgren, his birthday today, turns 24. Big time. Happy birthday to my roommate, really good friend, colleague. It's gonna be a great day, great night for him. He's got a race coming up in a little bit. One of his leagues that he runs on Tuesday nights, and best of luck to him in that. Of course, just 2 weeks ago, he won the Daytona 500 on this channel, so, maybe you want to go back and watch that. If you don't want to watch NARL tonight, at least watch the Daytona 500 back and see where Zach Lindgren got a victory on the channel. That will do it for us this evening. Congratulations to each of our winners tonight here at Brands Hatch. It was certainly a wild one. We had 4 different winners: Andy McEwen, Adam Delmont, Paul Donkin, and Jason Cooper. We'll see you all in Bathurst next week. Thanks for having us, and we'll see you there.